My parents didn't forget my graduation gift. They priced it at $10. The Starbucks card slid across the table, thin plastic against wood grain, my name misspelled in Mom's handwriting. Behind my sister stood a brand new Honda Accord, white leather interior gleaming under June sun, $28,000 bow on the hood. "You're practical, honey," Mom said. "Sarah needs reliable transportation." 200 guests watched the math happen in real time. An hour later, I stood at my car, 8 years old, 140,000 miles. Check engine light glowing. That $10 card was still in my fist. 47 relatives had witnessed the disparity. 12 were already texting. My aunt posted the photo that night. My sister's car versus my crumpled gift card. 890,000 views by Monday. Every person at that ceremony saw exactly what I was worth. Then my parents' neighbors started sharing it. The acceptance email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning that changed everything. I was standing in my apartment kitchen, wearing yesterday's clothes because I'd fallen asleep studying for finals. The coffee maker was gurgling. My phone buzzed on the counter. I picked it up, expecting another Canvas notification about an assignment I'd already submitted. Subject: "Congratulations from the Office of Financial Aid." My hands shook. I opened it. Read the first line 3 times before my brain would process the words. "Dear Jordan Blake, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a recipient of the Presidential Scholarship, a full tuition merit award valued at $84,000 over 4 years. $84,000. Full ride. I'd done it. 4 years of 3.9 GPAs and 20-hour work weeks, and choosing between textbooks and groceries. 4 years of watching other students go home for long weekends while I picked up extra shifts at the campus library. 4 years of telling myself it would be worth it when I walked across that stage. This was it. The validation. The proof that everything I'd sacrificed had mattered. I called my parents immediately. Didn't even think about the time, 6:51 a.m. They'd be awake. Dad always left for work by 7. Mom answered on the third ring. "Jordan, it's early. Everything okay?" My words tumbled out too fast. "I got it. The presidential scholarship. Full ride, Mom. $84,000. They're paying for everything." Silence. Not the good kind. Not the breathless, "oh my God, I'm so proud" kind I'd imagined during the walk to my phone. The empty kind. "Mom? That's nice, honey." Her voice was flat. Distracted. "Really great. Listen, can I call you back? Your father's trying to find his keys and I—" "Did you hear what I said? Full scholarship. Presidential scholar. They only give it to 15 students." "Yes, Jordan, I heard. Congratulations. We'll talk later, okay? I really have to." A voice in the background. Dad's. Muffled but excited. "Is that Emma? Put her on speaker." My stomach dropped. "No, Richard, it's Jordan. She got some scholarship thing." I hung up. 30 seconds. That's how long my mother spent on the biggest academic achievement of my life. 30 seconds before pivoting to my younger sister Emma, who still lived at home at 23 and worked part-time at a restaurant downtown. I stood in my kitchen, phone screen dark in my palm, coffee maker still gurgling behind me. The email was still open. Still real. $84,000. Presidential scholar. It should have felt like victory. It felt like screaming into a void. I'd been screaming into that void my entire life. I just hadn't realized it yet. The signs were there. They'd always been there. I was just too busy achieving to notice the pattern. When I was 10, my parents sat me down at the kitchen table, the oak one, with the wobbly leg that Dad never fixed. Mom had her serious face on. Dad looked uncomfortable. "Jordan, we want to talk to you about your future." I straightened in my chair. Future talk was important. I was good at important. "You're a smart kid," Dad said. "Really smart. Your teachers say you're reading at a 9th grade level already." Pride bloomed in my chest. Mom leaned forward. "So, we want you to know that when you succeed, when you do big things, we'll be there." We'll celebrate. We'll be so proud. We promise, Dad added. When you graduate high school, when you get into college, when you make something of yourself, we'll be right there cheering for you. I believed them. That was my first mistake. Emma was 7 then. She sat in the living room watching cartoons, completely uninterested in my future or anyone else's. She was the baby, the easy one. The one who didn't ask questions or push boundaries or stay up late reading with a flashlight under the covers. I was the driven one, the achiever, the one who would make them proud. I spent the next 8 years working toward that promise. High school came and went in a blur of AP classes and honor roll certificates and college application stress. I got into state university with a partial academic scholarship, not enough to cover everything, but enough that I only needed to take out $8,000 in loans per year. My parents didn't offer to help. "You got a scholarship," Dad said when I mentioned the loan paperwork I was filling out. "That's more than most kids get. You'll be fine." Emma graduated high school 2 years after me. She didn't get any scholarships, didn't even apply to college. She moved back into her childhood bedroom and got a job waiting tables at Olive Garden. My parents seemed relieved. "At least we don't have to worry about Emma's tuition," Mom said once during a phone call home. "She's being practical, staying local. Not everyone needs a degree, you know." I didn't say what I was thinking. But I'm the one who's supposed to make you proud. Remember? College was harder than I'd expected. Not academically, I could handle the coursework, but financially, emotionally, physically, I was tired all the time. I worked 25 hours a week at the campus library, shelving books and manning the circulation desk and explaining the printer system to confused freshmen. I studied between shifts. I ate ramen 4 nights a week because it was 19 cents per packet and I could make it last. Other students went home for long weekends. I picked up their shifts. Other students complained about dining hall food. I would have killed for a meal plan. Other students called their parents asking for grocery money, rent help, gas money. I stopped asking after sophomore year when Mom said, "Jordan, you're an adult now. We can't keep bailing you out." I hadn't asked them to bail me out. I'd asked for $800 to cover textbooks. They said no. 2 weeks later, Emma posted on Facebook about the amazing birthday surprise our parents had given her. A weekend trip to Chicago, tickets to a Broadway show, fancy hotel. The photos showed her grinning in front of the Bean, holding shopping bags from Michigan Avenue, sitting in a restaurant where the entrees cost more than my weekly grocery budget. I calculated later. That weekend probably cost them $1,200. They couldn't spare $800 for my textbooks, but they could spare $1,200 for Emma's birthday trip. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was building character, learning resilience, proving I didn't need them. I told myself that when I graduated, when I walked across that stage in a cap and gown, they'd finally understand what I'd accomplished. It would all make sense. They'd see me differently. They'd be proud. I told myself a lot of things that turned out to be lies. Senior year arrived like a finish line I'd been sprinting toward for 16 years. I made Dean's List every semester, got inducted into Phi Beta Kappa, landed a job offer from a tech firm in Atlanta starting at $62,000 more money than I'd ever imagined making. Everything was falling into place. The graduation ceremony was scheduled for mid-May. I ordered my cap and gown in March. Bought 3 tickets in April, one for Mom, one for Dad, one for Emma, because despite everything, they were still my family. I still wanted them there. I addressed the invitation by hand, wrote a note inside. "Please come. This means everything to me." Mom called 2 days after I mailed it. "Of course we'll be there, Jordan. Wouldn't miss it for the world." Something in my chest unclenched. "Really?" "Really. We're so proud of you, honey. College graduate. Our daughter, the scholar." I heard it in her voice, warmth, affection, maybe even pride. Real pride. The kind I'd been chasing since I was 10 years old, sitting at that wobbly kitchen table. "Thank you, Mom. That means a lot." We'll be in the front row, cheering louder than anyone. I believed her. That was my second mistake. The weeks leading up to graduation blurred together. Finals, packing up my apartment, saying goodbye to friends who were scattering to different cities and states and time zones. I worked my last shifts at the library, returned my textbooks, calculated that I'd spent roughly 2,600 hours working during college. That's 108 full days, almost 4 months of my life, shelving books and checking out laptops. But it was worth it. It had to be worth it. 3 days before the ceremony, I overheard something I wasn't supposed to hear. I'd called home to confirm logistics, what time they were leaving, where they wanted to meet beforehand. Dad answered. I heard Mom's voice in the background, talking to someone else. Emma, probably. The loan approval came through yesterday, Mom was saying. We can pick it up Saturday morning. Loan approval? Saturday morning? Graduation was Saturday afternoon. I filed it away as strange but not alarming. Maybe they were refinancing the house. Maybe it was a home improvement thing. Not my business. Jordan? You still there? Dad's voice pulled me back. Yeah, sorry. So, you're leaving Friday night? That's the plan. We'll get a hotel, be there bright and early Saturday. Okay. I'll meet you at the hotel around 10. We can get breakfast before the ceremony starts at 2. Sounds perfect, kiddo. Kiddo. He hadn't called me that in years. Maybe things really were changing. Maybe they really did see me now. I let myself hope. That was my third mistake. I need to tell you about my family, so you understand why that $10 Starbucks card wasn't just an insult. It was a confirmation. Richard and Susan Blake. My parents. Married 30 years. Living in the same suburb where they'd raised us. Working the same jobs they'd had since before I was born. Dad's a mid-level manager at an insurance company. Mom works part-time as a dental receptionist. Solid middle-class income. Not wealthy, but comfortable. The kind of comfortable where money was always there for some things but never there for others. The dividing line was simple. Emma got the some things. I got the never. My younger sister Emma is 23 now. She's not a bad person, I want to be clear about that. She's not malicious or cruel or deliberately manipulative. She's just used to being the priority. Used to things being easy. Used to our parents saying yes. I'm 22. I've never been used to any of those things. Growing up, I thought the difference was about achievement. I thought if I just worked harder, scored higher, reached further, I'd tip the scales. I'd become the priority, the easy one, the yes. I was wrong. Let me give you the highlight reel. Age 12. I made the regional spelling bee finals. Studied for 3 months. Memorized 800 words. Practiced every night until my eyes burned. The finals were on a Saturday. Mom had a hair appointment. Dad had a golf game. They said they'd try to make it. They didn't try. I placed third. Came home with a bronze medal and a dictionary prize. Mom said, "That's great, honey," without looking up from her magazine. Dad said, "Third place is still pretty good." Emma was 9. She'd started soccer that year. Our parents didn't miss a single game. Age 14. I won a regional science fair with a project on water filtration systems in developing countries. First place. Full scholarship to a summer STEM camp worth $1,800. I was so excited I could barely breathe when I called to tell them. That's wonderful, Jordan. We're proud of you. Proud. But not there. They hadn't come to the science fair either. Too far away, Dad said. 2 hours each way. And he had work in the morning. 2 weeks later, they drove 4 hours round trip to watch Emma perform in her middle school play. She had 3 lines. They took her to dinner afterward at the nicest restaurant in town. I calculated later. That dinner cost more than $200. They had the receipts on the kitchen counter. I saw them while I was making ramen. Age 16. Prom. Every girl in my class was shopping for dresses, talking about limos and after parties and who was going with whom. I didn't care about the social part. I'd never been popular, never had a big friend group. But I wanted to go. Wanted one normal high school experience. Dresses cost money. I knew that. I didn't expect them to buy me some $400 designer thing. I just wanted something nice. Something that made me feel like I belonged. I showed Mom a dress I'd found on sale. $89. Simple, blue, perfect. That's expensive, Jordan. It's on sale, and it's prom. It's only once. She sighed. Can you pick up some extra babysitting shifts? Save up for it yourself? We're a little tight this month. I picked up shifts. Babysitting, tutoring, anything I could find. By prom, I'd saved $140. Bought the $89 dress and paid for my own ticket. Felt proud of myself for being independent. Emma turned 14 that same spring. Her birthday present was a $350 camera because she'd mentioned wanting to get into photography. She used it twice. College was when the pattern became undeniable. I got that partial scholarship $6,000 per year toward $14,000 annual tuition. I took out $8,000 in loans each year to cover the rest. Books, rent, food, gas, I worked for all of it. 25 hours a week at the library, $9.50 an hour, every penny budgeted down to the cent. Sophomore year, my car broke down. Transmission failure. The mechanic quoted $2,400 to fix it. I didn't have $2,400. I didn't have $400. I called my parents. Not asking for a handout, asking for a loan. I'd pay them back in installments. I had it all planned out. Jordan, we can't just throw money at every problem you have. You need to learn to handle these things yourself. I am handling it. I'm asking for a loan, not a gift. I'll pay you back. We don't have that kind of cash lying around. I fixed the car by taking out another loan. Private loan, 8% interest, added to my student debt. I ate ramen for 8 weeks straight to make the monthly payments work. 3 months later, Emma's business idea failed. She'd decided to start a handmade jewelry business, sold stuff on Etsy, made anklets and bracelets with beads and wire. Our parents gave her $15,000 to invest in her dream. She bought supplies, set up a website, did a whole marketing push. She sold 12 items in 6 months. Total revenue, maybe $300. The business folded. She moved on to the next idea. Our parents never asked for the money back. $15,000 for Emma's failed hobby. $0 for my car transmission. I told myself they didn't see it. Told myself it wasn't personal. Emma was struggling to find her path. She needed support. I was thriving academically. I was fine. I wasn't fine. Junior year, I made Dean's List again. 3.87 gigapascals. I was taking 18 credits, working 25 hours a week, and somehow surviving on 5 hours of sleep. I called home to tell them, "That's great, Jordan. You've always been so smart." Smart. Not hardworking, not dedicated. Smart like it was effortless, genetic, something I was born with instead of something I was killing myself to achieve. Emma posted on Instagram that same week. She'd gotten promoted to shift supervisor at Olive Garden. Our parents threw her a celebration dinner, invited the whole extended family. Cake, balloons, champagne. For a shift supervisor promotion at Olive Garden. I made Dean's List for the 3rd consecutive year and got a 30-second phone call. Senior year was supposed to be different. That presidential scholarship changed things, or so I thought. It meant I'd graduated with only $31,000 in debt instead of $60,000. It meant I'd been recognized as one of the top students in my entire class. It meant something. I sent my parents the announcement, the official letter from the university, embossed seal and everything. Mom texted back, "Proud of you, sweetie." One text, autocorrect didn't even capitalize the P. Emma announced her engagement that same month. She'd been dating Travis for 11 months. He was fine, nice guy, worked in construction, nothing special. They weren't even living together yet. But she was engaged, and that meant wedding planning. and wedding planning meant Mom's entire life revolved around floral arrangements and venue tastings. I'd be graduating with honors in 6 weeks. Mom was on the phone every night talking about centerpieces. I told myself it didn't matter. Told myself weddings were a big deal. Of course, Mom was excited. Told myself that graduation would be my moment. They'd see me walk across that stage, hear my name called with the presidential scholars, understand what I'd accomplished. They'd promised, hadn't they? Back when I was 10? When you succeed, we'll be there. I was succeeding. They'd be there. The graduation invitations went out 8 weeks early. I hand-addressed theirs. Wrote a note inside in my neatest handwriting. This means everything to me. Please come. Mom called the day she received it. Of course we're coming, Jordan. We wouldn't miss this. Relief flooded through me so fast I almost cried. Thank you. That means your father's already requested the day off work. Emma's coming too. We'll make a whole day of it. A whole day. For me. Finally. I'm so glad. Emma's dress fitting is that morning, but we'll leave right after. Plenty of time. Emma's dress fitting. On my graduation day. Her wedding's not for another 5 months, I said carefully. I know, but the boutique only had that slot available, and we can't miss it. But don't worry. We'll be there for your ceremony. 2 o'clock, right? Right. I told myself it was fine. The fitting would be quick. They'd still make it. They'd promised. 3 days before graduation, I called to confirm logistics. That's when I heard Mom in the background. The loan approval came through yesterday. We can pick it up Saturday morning. Saturday morning, graduation day. Pick what up? I didn't ask. Didn't want to pry. Told myself it was nothing. But that night, lying in my nearly empty apartment surrounded by boxes and suitcases, I couldn't shake the unease. The feeling that I was missing something, that there was a punchline coming and I was the only one who didn't know the joke. I'd spent 4 years working myself to exhaustion. 4 years eating ramen and skipping social events and studying until my vision blurred. 4 years proving I was worth their pride. And in 60 hours, I'd finally know if it had worked. I wanted it to work so badly I could taste it. That was my biggest mistake. Graduation morning started perfectly. I woke up at 7 to sunlight streaming through my apartment windows. Last night's rain had cleared, leaving behind that crystalline blue sky that only happens in late spring. Perfect weather. A sign. I made coffee. Real coffee, not the instant stuff I'd been surviving on for 4 years. I'd splurged at the grocery store $12 for a bag of whole beans because today was special. Today was the day everything I'd worked for finally mattered. My cap and gown hung on the back of my bedroom door. Black polyester, simple and standard. But when I put it on, it felt like armor. Like proof. I'd earned this. No one could take it away. I pressed it carefully. The tassel gold for honors. Mine had a special presidential scholar's medallion. Attached hung perfectly. I practiced the walk. Measured, confident, head high. Practiced the moment they'd call my name. Jordan Blake, Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude, presidential scholar. My parents would be in the audience. They'd hear it. They'd see me. Everything would change. The ceremony was at 2. I was supposed to meet my parents at their hotel at 10 for breakfast. Emma had texted the night before. So excited to celebrate you tomorrow. 4 exclamation points. She never used that many for anything. Maybe this really was different. Maybe they really were proud. I got to the hotel at 9:58, 2 minutes early. I'd always been punctual, another thing I thought they'd appreciate, another thing they'd never noticed. The lobby was nice. Nothing fancy, but clean. Comfortable. I texted Mom. I'm here. In the lobby. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, running a few minutes late, Emma's fitting ran over. Be down soon. Fitting. Right. The wedding dress fitting. I sat in an armchair near the window, checked my phone. 10:04. Not a big deal. Plenty of time. 10:15. Still no sign of them. 10:23. I texted again. Everything okay? Almost ready. So sorry. This place is a disaster. Be right down. 10:31. The ceremony started at 2. It was 40 minutes to campus. I needed to be there by 1 to line up with the other graduates. That gave us 2.5 hours. Still fine. 10:45. I called Mom. It rang 4 times before she answered. Breathless. Jordan. Hi. Is everything okay? We're supposed to be having breakfast. I know, honey. I'm so sorry. The fitting took longer than expected, and then we had to stop for gas. And you're not at the hotel? Silence. Mom? We're running behind, but we'll be there for the ceremony. I promise. Something cold settled in my stomach. Where are you? We're just leaving the bridal boutique now. It's about 20 minutes outside of town, but the bridal boutique, on graduation day. Emma's dress needed alterations. They called yesterday, said they had a cancellation. It was the only time available before the wedding. You understand, right? I understood. I understood perfectly. So you're not coming to breakfast. We'll make it to the ceremony. That's the important part. The important part. Not spending the morning with me. Not celebrating over pancakes like I'd imagined. Just the ceremony. Just the obligation. Jordan, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. We'll see you at 2, okay? Front row. We'll be cheering so loud. I hung up. Sat in that hotel lobby for another 3 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I drove to campus alone. The pre-ceremony waiting area was chaos. 200 graduating seniors crammed into a hallway behind the auditorium, adjusting caps, fixing tassels, taking photos with friends and professors. Everyone was giddy, emotional, buzzing with that specific energy that comes from endings and beginnings colliding. I stood near the wall, alone, checking my phone every 30 seconds. No new texts. They'd be here, they'd promised. At 1:45, we lined up in alphabetical order. I was between Janelle Benson and Marcus Chen. Janelle was crying happy tears, her parents already seated somewhere in the audience. Marcus was grinning, kept looking toward the auditorium doors like he couldn't wait to walk through. I felt numb. You okay? Marcus asked. I forced a smile. Just nervous. Your parents here? Yeah, front row. The lie came automatically. Easier than explaining, easier than admitting I wasn't sure. At 2:03, we filed into the auditorium. It was beautiful. The university had transformed the space with banners, flowers, professional lighting. The stage was massive, draped in our school colors. 200 chairs for graduates faced an audience of maybe 600 families, friends, professors, all of them beaming with pride. I scanned the front row as I walked to my seat. Section A, where the graduates' families sat. Reserved seating, carefully planned. I saw Marcus's parents, Janelle's entire extended family, the Davidsons, the Emerys, the Kahns. I saw 3 empty chairs. Row 4, seats 11, 12, and 13. The seats I'd reserved 2 months ago. The seats I'd checked and double-checked and confirmed with the registrar's office. Empty. I scanned again. Maybe they were running late. Maybe they'd gotten seats farther back. I couldn't find them. The ceremony started. Dean Morrison welcomed everyone. The provost gave a speech about potential and futures and the power of education. I heard none of it. I kept turning around, kept scanning the audience, kept checking my phone under my gown. No texts, no calls, no explanation. They called names in alphabetical order. When they reached the B's, my heart was hammering so hard I thought people could hear it. Jordan Blake. I stood, walked across the stage. The auditorium lights were bright, made it hard to see faces in the audience, but I could see enough. I could see those 3 empty chairs. Dean Morrison shook my hand. Bachelor of Science, summa cum laude, Presidential Scholar. Congratulations, Jordan. Presidential Scholar. The highest honor the university gave, 15 students out of 2,000. The audience applauded politely. Strangers clapping, because that's what you do at graduations. I looked at the empty chairs. They weren't coming. The ceremony lasted 90 minutes. I sat through all of it in a fog, watched other graduates get their names called, watched their families scream and cheer and wave signs. Watched Marcus's dad stand up and whoop when Marcus crossed the stage. Watched Janelle's mom cry. Watched those 3 empty chairs stay empty. At 3:47, my phone buzzed. Mom. So sorry, honey. We're not going to make it. Emma's fitting turned into a whole thing. We'll celebrate this weekend. Congratulations, graduate. This weekend. They weren't coming at all. I read the text 3 times. Looked for the part where she explained. The part where she apologized. The part where she acknowledged that she'd promised that this was supposed to matter, that I'd spent 4 years working toward this moment. There was no part. Just, we'll celebrate this weekend. I didn't respond. After the ceremony, graduates flooded into the parking lot. Families everywhere, hugging, crying, taking photos. Someone had brought champagne. Someone else had balloons. The air was thick with celebration. I walked to my car alone. It was parked in the back lot, far from the auditorium. My 2016 Civic, with 140,000 miles, and a check engine light that had been on for 3 months. I'd been meaning to get it looked at, but mechanics cost money, and I'd been saving every penny for post-graduation expenses. Moving to Atlanta, first month's rent and deposit, professional clothes for my new job. I'd been saving for my future while my parents paid for Emma's dress fitting. I sat in the driver's seat, cap and gown still on, and stared at my phone. No follow-up texts, no calls, nothing. They really weren't coming. I drove back to my apartment, hung up my gown, changed into normal clothes, sat on my couch, a second-hand thing I'd bought for $50 on Craigslist freshman year, and tried to make sense of what had happened. They'd promised. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Front row, cheering louder than anyone. They'd promised. At 5:32, my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. I answered this time. Don't know why. Jordan. There you are. Listen, we're about 30 minutes away. We thought we could meet for an early dinner to celebrate. 30 minutes away. It was 5:33. The ceremony had ended at 3:45. Where are you? My voice sounded strange. Flat. We're just finishing up at the boutique. Emma's dress is perfect. You're going to love it. Anyway, we thought. You missed my graduation. Silence. Honey, I know, and we feel terrible. But Emma's dress. You promised you'd be there. We'll make it up to you. Let's do dinner. You can tell us all about the ceremony. Tell them about the ceremony, the one they'd missed. The one they'd promised they wouldn't miss. I don't want dinner. Jordan, don't be like that. We're trying to celebrate with you. Now? You want to celebrate now? Not this morning when we were supposed to have breakfast. Not at 2 o'clock. When I walked across the stage. Now. After it's over. You're being unreasonable. Emma's wedding is 5 months away. Her dress fitting was more important than my graduation. That's not fair. You know we're proud of you. Proud. That word again. Hollow. Meaningless. I have to go. Jordan. I hung up. Sat in my quiet apartment, surrounded by boxes, holding my phone. I should have known. All the signs were there. Every birthday. Every achievement. Every time I'd reached for their approval and come back empty, it had been building to this. I just hadn't wanted to believe it. At 6:15, the knock came. I wasn't expecting anyone. Thought about not answering. But maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe it was Marcus, coming to check on me. I opened the door. My parents stood there, Emma between them. Mom was holding a wrapped box. Dad had his uncomfortable smile on. Emma looked uncertain, like she knew something was wrong but couldn't figure out what. Surprise, Mom said. We thought we'd bring the celebration to you. I stared at them. Can we come in? Dad asked. I stepped aside. They filed into my tiny apartment, taking up all the oxygen. Emma hugged me immediately. Congrats, Jay, college graduate. She was trying. I could see that. But all I could think was, your dress fitting. She missed my graduation for your dress fitting. Thanks, I managed. Mom set the wrapped box on my coffee table. We know you're upset, and we're sorry we couldn't make the ceremony. But we wanted to give you your graduation gift. Gift. Right. Dad was looking around my apartment. You've got everything packed up pretty good. When's the move to Atlanta? Next week. That's exciting. Big job, big city. He was making small talk. My father was standing in my apartment on my graduation day, making small talk like we hadn't just had a massive rupture. Mom pushed the box toward me. Open it! I didn't want to. Didn't want to play along with this performance of normalcy. But Emma was watching, hopeful, and it was easier to just comply. I pulled off the wrapping paper, opened the box. Inside, a Starbucks gift card. Green plastic, my name written in Sharpie on the blank line. Except Mom had spelled it Jordan one letter off, like she'd written it in a hurry and hadn't bothered to check. I turned it over. $10, written on the back. $10. For coffee on your drive to Atlanta, Mom said brightly. We know you love your coffee. I stared at the card. 4 years of college. $84,000 scholarship. Summa cum laude. Presidential scholar. 2,000. 600 hours of work. $31,000 in student loans. $10. Thanks, I heard myself say. And we have another surprise. Mom continued, smile widening. That's when Dad pulled out car keys. Emma squealed. Wait. Come outside, Dad said, grinning now. Both of you. We went outside, down the stairs from my second-floor apartment, into the parking lot. There, parked next to my ancient Civic, was a white Honda Accord. Brand new. Dealership bow still on the hood. Emma's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mom was beaming. We know you need reliable transportation for wedding planning, honey. And your car barely runs. So, are you serious? Emma was crying. Happy tears. This is mine? Dad handed her the keys. All yours. Consider it an early wedding present. Emma threw her arms around both our parents. They hugged her back, laughing. One big happy moment. I stood 3 feet away, holding a $10 Starbucks card with my name spelled wrong. What do you think, Jordan? Dad asked, noticing me finally. Nice, right? I looked at the car, looked at my sister, crying happy tears, looked at my parents, so proud of themselves, looked at the gift card in my hand. Yeah, I said quietly. Really nice. Emma turned to me, still glowing. Can you believe this? A car. For me. You deserve it, Mom said. You work so hard. Emma worked part-time at Olive Garden. I'd worked 25 hours a week for 4 years while maintaining a 3.9 gigapascals. How much? I stopped. Started again. What did this cost? Dad waved a hand. Don't worry about it. We've been saving. How much? He shifted uncomfortably. The loan came through yesterday. $28,400. But Emma needs it. Her car has 180,000 miles. My car had 140,000 miles. I'd been denied a $2,400 loan to fix the transmission 2 years ago. Emma got a $28,400 car. I got $10. The math was so clear. So brutal. That's really generous, I said. Mom finally seemed to notice something was off. Jordan, are you okay? You seem upset. Upset. I'd missed breakfast because of Emma's dress fitting. Missed having my parents at my graduation because of Emma's dress fitting. Watched them give Emma a $28,000 car while handing me a $10 gift card. I'm fine. Are you sure? Because you seem I said I'm fine. Emma was examining her car, running her hands over the hood like it was made of gold. Mom and Dad were watching her, their faces soft with affection. No one was looking at me. Story of my life. I have to go inside, I said. I have packing to finish. But we were going to take you both to dinner. Mom protested. I'm not hungry. Jordan. Congratulations, Emma. On the car. I turned toward my apartment. Thanks for the gift card. I walked away before they could respond. Made it inside, closed the door, locked it. Stood in my silent apartment, that $10 card still in my hand. And that's when I noticed it. On the back of the card, under the $10 written in Sharpie, there was something else. Faint but visible. A price sticker, partially peeled off. I held it up to the light. $25. The card had been a $25 gift card. Mom had crossed it out, written $10 instead. They hadn't even given me the full card. I stood there for a long time, holding that card, staring at the crossed-out $25. Something shifted inside me. Something that had been cracking for 4 years finally broke clean through. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. Credit card, $12,847 balance. That was normal. I'd had that card since freshman year, used it for emergencies, paid the minimum every month. Except, I clicked into the transaction history, scrolled back. 3 months ago, $890 charged to Giovanni's Catering. I'd never heard of that company. 6 months ago, $2,100 charged to Bella's Bridal Boutique. 8 months ago, $1,450 charged to a venue called Lakeview Estate. I kept scrolling. The charges went back 14 months. None of them were mine. All of them were for Emma's wedding. My hands were shaking. I pulled my full credit report. Took 3 minutes to load. There it was. Credit card opened in my name 18 months ago. Primary account holder, Susan M. Blake, my mother. Using my social security number. Identity theft. They'd been using my credit to pay for Emma's wedding. For over a year. While I ate ramen and worked myself to exhaustion, my mother had been racking up charges in my name. Charges I didn't know about. Charges that would be my responsibility. Charges that had tanked my credit score from 720 to 580. I sat on my couch, surrounded by boxes, holding a $10 Starbucks card with my name spelled wrong. And I started laughing. Not because it was funny. Because it was so perfectly, brutally clear. They didn't forget my graduation gift. They priced it at exactly what they thought I was worth. $10. While stealing $12,000 from me. The math finally made sense. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that $10 Starbucks card, the crossed-out $25, my name spelled wrong, Emma's brand-new Honda Accord gleaming under parking lot lights. The credit card charges glowing on my phone screen. $12,847. None of it mine. At 3 a.m., I sat on my couch in the dark, laptop open, trying to make the pieces fit, trying to find the explanation that made this something other than what it looked like. There had to be a mistake, a glitch in the system. Something. I pulled up the credit card account again. Capital One. Opened 18 months ago, February, middle of my junior year. I'd been studying abroad that semester. Spain. Living in a tiny apartment in Madrid, taking classes at Universidad Complutense, working on my Spanish minor. I hadn't opened any credit cards in Spain. I clicked on the account details. Primary cardholder, Jordan Blake. Authorized user, Susan M. Blake. My mother. My social security number listed as primary. Her name attached to my credit. The nausea came back. I forced myself to keep reading. Billing address. My parents' house. The house I hadn't lived in since I left for college 4 years ago. Every statement sent there. Every notification, every alert, every piece of evidence sent to an address I never checked. They'd done this deliberately, Waited until I was out of the country. Used an address I couldn't access. Made sure I wouldn't know. My hands were shaking again. I grabbed my phone. Pulled up the text thread with my parents. Mom's last message. Sent 7 hours ago. We'll celebrate this weekend. Congratulations, graduate. I scrolled up, looking for, what? Proof? Explanation? 3 months ago, Mom had texted. Hope you're not stressed about money, honey. We know student life is expensive. She'd known. She'd been charging thousands to my credit while texting me sympathy about being broke. 6 months ago. Your father and I are so proud of how independent you are. Really making it on your own. Making it on my own. While they stole from me, I kept scrolling, looking for the moment I should have noticed, the red flag I'd missed. 8 months ago, Emma's so excited about the wedding planning. Wish you could be more involved, but we know you're busy with school. Involved. They'd kept me away deliberately. Kept me busy, distracted, unaware, while they spent my credit on her wedding. The charges lined up with the timeline. Every time they'd texted about Emma's wedding, there was a charge. Venue deposit $4,200. Catering $890. Dress $2,100. Flowers. Photographer. Invitations. All on my card. All in my name. All building debt I'd be responsible for. At 6 a.m., I called the number on the back of the Capital One card. A recorded voice answered. Menu options. I pressed numbers until I got to report fraud. 20 minutes on hold. Pop music interrupted every 45 seconds by, your call is important to us. Finally, a human. Male voice. Professional. Capital One Fraud Department. This is Derek. How can I help you? My mouth was dry. I think someone opened a credit card in my name without my permission. I'm sorry to hear that. I can definitely help you with that. Can I get your name and the last 4 digits of your social security number? I gave them. Keyboard clicking. Okay, Miss Blake. I'm showing one Capital One account associated with your information. Opened February 12th, 18 months ago. Is that the account in question? Yes. And you're stating you didn't open this account? I was in Spain when it was opened. Study abroad. I never applied for this card. More clicking. I see. And the billing address is 4237 Maple Drive. Is that correct? My parents' address. That's not my address. I haven't lived there in 4 years. Okay. I'm seeing charges on this account up through yesterday. Total current balance is $12,847.32. Have you made any of these purchases? No. None of them. Do you recognize any of the merchants? I'm showing charges to venues, catering companies, bridal boutiques. Those are for my sister's wedding. My mother is listed as an authorized user. She made those charges. Silence. Then, your mother is listed as an authorized user on this account, but you're listed as the primary cardholder. Are you saying your mother opened this account without your knowledge? Yes. Using your social security number and personal information? Yes. More silence. Longer this time. Miss Blake, that would constitute identity theft. Are you sure you want to proceed with a fraud claim against a family member? Was I sure? I thought about the $10 gift card, the empty chairs at graduation, 4 years of ramen and library shifts while they paid for Emma's wedding with my credit. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to open a fraud investigation. This will freeze the account immediately. No further charges can be made. You'll need to file a police report and send us a copy. We'll also need you to complete an identity theft affidavit. I can email you the forms. What happens to the balance? The $12,847? Once we verify the fraud, the charges will be removed from your account. You won't be responsible for them. But the process takes time, usually 60 to 90 days. And you will need that police report. Police report, against my mother. Miss Blake, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. I know this is difficult, especially with family, but identity theft is a serious crime. We have to treat it as such. I understand. I'm sending those forms to the email on file. Is jblake2024@gmail still current? Yes. Perfect. You should receive them within a few minutes. Do you have any other questions? I had 1,000 questions, but none he could answer. No, thank you. You're welcome. And Miss Blake? I'm sorry you're dealing with this. He sounded like he meant it. I hung up. Stared at my phone. The account was frozen. Mom couldn't make any more charges. She'd find out soon, probably the next time she tried to use the card. Part of me wanted to call her, confront her, demand an explanation. The other part of me knew exactly what she'd say. It would be excuses, justifications. We were going to pay it back. You weren't supposed to find out. Emma needed this. You're being selfish. I'd heard variations of those lines my entire life. I was done listening. At 9 a.m., my phone rang. Mom. I didn't answer. She called again. I let it go to voicemail. Third call. I turned my phone off completely. I needed to think. Needed to figure out my next move without her voice in my ear, making excuses, twisting reality until I doubted what I knew was true. The email from Capital One arrived at 9:14. Fraud investigation forms. Identity theft affidavit. Step-by-step instructions. Step 3. File a police report with your local law enforcement agency. Bring documentation of fraudulent charges. Police report. That made it real. Made it criminal. Made it permanent. Once I filed that report, there was no taking it back. No smoothing it over. No family matter handled privately. My mother would have a criminal record. I thought about that for a long time. Thought about how she'd raised me, fed me, kept a roof over my head, how she'd taught me to read, driven me to school, packed my lunches, how she wasn't a monster, she was just flawed, human. A woman who loved one daughter more than the other, and made terrible choices because of it. Then I thought about the $10 Starbucks card with my name spelled wrong, and I opened my laptop to search for the nearest police station. The police station was a 15-minute drive from my apartment. Small building, brick exterior, American flag out front. I'd driven past it hundreds of times in 4 years, and never once thought I'd need to go inside. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could make myself get out. This felt huge. Irreversible. Like stepping off a cliff I couldn't climb back up. But the alternative was carrying $12,847 in debt I didn't create. Debt that would follow me for years. Debt that would wreck my credit, limit my options, define my financial future. Debt my mother had created in my name while I worked myself to exhaustion. I got out of the car. Inside, the station was quiet. Linoleum floors, fluorescent lights, that specific smell of institutional buildings, coffee and cleaning products, and stale air. A receptionist sat behind a glass partition. Can I help you? I need to file a police report. For identity theft. She slid a clipboard through the gap. Fill this out. Someone will be with you shortly. The form asked for basic information. Name, address, description of the crime. I wrote carefully, trying to keep my handwriting steady, trying not to think about what this meant. I was reporting my mother to the police. For stealing from me? 20 minutes later, a door opened. A man in his 40s, khaki pants and a polo shirt with a badge clipped to his belt. Jordan Blake? I stood. That's me. I'm Detective Morrison. Come on back. I followed him through a hallway into a small office. Desk covered in files, 2 chairs, a dying plant on the windowsill. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. So, identity theft. Tell me what happened. I told him everything. The credit card I didn't open. The charges I didn't make. My mother's name as authorized user. The Capital One fraud investigation. He took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. This is pretty straightforward. Family member using your identity to open credit accounts. We see it more often than you'd think. Usually parents using their kids' clean credit. Sometimes siblings. It's always messy. What happens now? I'll file the report. Case number gets assigned. I'll request the credit card records from Capital One. They'll send everything once they get the subpoena. Then I'll review the evidence and submit it to the DA's office. The district attorney? Yeah, they decide whether to file charges. In cases like this, clear documentation, provable fraud, they usually do. We're looking at felony identity theft, possibly aggravated theft depending on the amount. Felony. My mother could go to prison. The thought made my stomach turn. Detective Morrison must have seen something in my face. I know this is hard, but this is a serious crime. Your mother stole almost $13,000 from you. Used your identity to do it. That's not a family squabble, that's fraud. What kind of sentence would she get? Depends. First offense. She'd probably get probation. Maybe community service. Restitution for sure, she'd have to pay you back. But there'd be a felony on her record. That's permanent. Permanent. Do I have to press charges? Can't I just handle it privately? He gave me a long look. You could, but then you're still liable for that debt. Capital One needs a police report to remove the charges. Without it, you're on the hook. And if your mother did this once, what's stopping her from doing it again? What's stopping her? Nothing. Nothing had stopped her the first time. Okay, I said quietly. File the report. He nodded, pulled out a form, started filling it in. Case number 2,025 to 8,841. I'll get this submitted today. You'll get a copy for your records, you'll need it for the credit card company and for any other creditors if there are more accounts. More accounts? We don't know yet. I'd recommend pulling your full credit report from all 3 bureaus. Make sure this is the only fraudulent account. Oh God. The possibility that there were more hadn't even occurred to me. How do I do that? Annualcreditreport.com. Free once a year from each bureau. Pull all 3: Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Check for anything you didn't open. I wrote it down. Hands shaking again. Anything else I should know? He asked. Like what? Other family members involved? Anyone else who might have known about this? My father. He'd been there when they gave Emma the car. He'd mentioned the loan approval. We can pick it up Saturday morning. He'd known about the loan. Had he known about the credit card? I don't know. Maybe my father. If he knew and didn't tell you, that could be conspiracy. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Conspiracy. Felony. Prison. Words I'd never associated with my family. Detective Morrison finished the form, printed 2 copies, one for his file, one for me. Keep this safe. You'll need it for everything. And Jordan? I looked up. You're doing the right thing. I know it doesn't feel like it. But protecting yourself isn't wrong. Even when it's from family. I took the report, folded it carefully, slid it into my bag. Thank you. I sat in my car for another 30 minutes before I could drive home. Case hash 20205 to 8,841. My mother was now officially under investigation. There was paperwork with her name on it, filed with the police, describing her as a criminal. This was real. I pulled out my phone, turned it back on. 17 missed calls, 12 from Mom, 3 from Dad, 2 from Emma. 8 text messages. Mom, Jordan, call me. This is ridiculous. Mom, the credit card company called. You froze the account? We need to talk. Mom, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Call me back. Dad, your mother is very upset. This isn't how we handle family issues. Emma, what's going on? Mom's freaking out. Did something happen? Emma, Jay, seriously, call me back. Mom's crying. Mom's crying. Good. Maybe she should have thought about that before she stole from me. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I went to annualcreditreport.com and started pulling my credit reports. Equifax loaded first. 2 credit cards. One was my actual card, the one I'd opened freshman year. The one I'd been using responsibly for 4 years. Balance. $890. That was mine. The other was the Capital One card. Balance, $12,847. One student loan, $31,000. That was mine too. One auto loan inquiry from 6 months ago, denied due to low credit score. That had been when I'd tried to refinance my car loan to get a lower interest rate. They'd denied me. I'd been confused. I'd always paid on time, never missed a payment. My credit should have been good. Now I knew why. The fraudulent credit card had tanked my score. I moved on to Experian. Same 2 credit cards, same student loan, but there was something else. A store credit card. Macy's. Opened 11 months ago. Balance, $3,247. I'd never opened a Macy's card. My chest tightened. I clicked on the details. Billing address, 4237 Maple Drive. My parents' house. Another one. I pulled TransUnion. 3 credit cards total. The Capital One, the Macy's, and a Visa from Chase Bank. Opened 9 months ago. Balance, $5,103. 3 fraudulent cards. Total fraudulent debt, $21,197. $21,000. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. $21,000 my mother had stolen. Over 18 months. While I ate ramen and worked 25-hour weeks. While I took out student loans and denied myself basic comforts because I thought I couldn't afford them. She'd spent $21,000 of my credit on Emma's wedding. My phone rang again. Mom. This time. I answered. Jordan, thank God, we need to. Did you open a Macy's card in my name? Silence. And a Chase Visa? More silence. Mom. Answer me. Jordan, listen. How much did you steal from me? Steal? You're my daughter. I didn't steal. 3 credit cards. $21,000. How much of it was for Emma's wedding? We were going to pay it back. When? Before or after? You gave her a $28,000 car. That's different. Emma needed. I needed you to not commit identity theft. My voice cracked. I was yelling. Didn't care. I needed you to not destroy my credit. I needed you to show up to my graduation. You're being dramatic. This is a family matter. No, it's a legal matter. I filed a police report this morning. Case number 2,025 to 8,841. Detective Morrison has all the documentation. Dead silence. Then, you did what? I reported you for identity theft. Because that's what this is. Jordan Elizabeth Blake, you take that back right now. I can't take it back. It's filed. The detective is submitting it to the DA. I heard her breathing. Fast. Panicked. You're going to ruin this family. You ruined it when you stole from me. We're your parents. You can't. I hung up. Turned my phone off again. Sat in my apartment, surrounded by boxes and credit reports, shaking. 3 credit cards, $21,000, 18 months of fraud, and I'd only just scratched the surface. I didn't leave my apartment for 3 days. Couldn't. Every time I thought about stepping outside, I imagined running into my parents. Imagined the confrontation, the accusations, Mom crying, Dad threatening. Imagined Emma caught in the middle, trying to play peacemaker while wearing clothes bought with my stolen credit. So I stayed inside. Ordered groceries online. Let Marcus bring me coffee and food when he stopped by after his classes. And I built my case. Spreadsheet, rows and columns, every fraudulent charge, categorized, dated, documented. I started with the Capital One card. Downloaded 18 months of statements, went through line by line. February 18th, 18 months ago. $450 to Lakeview Estate. That was Emma's venue. I remembered her posting about it, finally booked the perfect place. March 3rd, $2,100 to Bella's Bridal Boutique. Her dress. She'd posted photos trying on options, asking for opinions. I'd commented, "Beautiful," like a supportive sister, not knowing I was paying for it. March 15th. $890 to Giovanni's Catering. I'd seen the catering contract on Mom's Facebook when she'd accidentally posted it to her main timeline instead of a private group. Appetizers, entrees, desserts, all planned, all charged to me. April 22nd, $1,200 to classic photographers, the wedding photographer. Emma had gushed about him for weeks. The charges kept coming. Flowers, $780. Invitations, $340. Cake, $650. DJ, $900. Chair rentals, $400. Table linens, $290. Every single wedding expense funneled through my credit. I categorized them: venue, catering, dress, photography, flowers, decor, entertainment. Total on Capital One, $12,847. Then I pulled the Macy's card statements. 11 months of charges. Smaller amounts, but frequent. $120 to the home goods section, probably wedding registry items. $340 for a dress, maybe a bridesmaid dress. $89 for shoes. $200 for perfume and makeup. $450 for bedding, probably for Emma and Travis's new apartment. Some charges weren't wedding-related at all. $230 at a restaurant. $180 for Mom's hair salon. $95 for Dad's golf club membership renewal. They'd used it for everything. Total on Macy's, $3,247. Chase Visa next. 9 months of charges. This one was different. Bigger purchases, longer gaps. $1,800 for a honeymoon deposit to a resort in Jamaica. $950 for Emma's bridal shower at a country club. $720 for wedding favors. And then things that had nothing to do with Emma at all. $840 to a dental office. I remembered Mom's new veneers last Christmas. How she'd smiled so wide in every photo. "Finally did something for myself," she'd said. $610 to a golf equipment store. Dad's new clubs. He'd shown them off at Thanksgiving. $380 to a spa. Mom's birthday treat to herself. They weren't just using my credit for Emma's wedding. They were using it like a blank check. Like free money. Like I'd never find out. Total on Chase, $5,103. Grand total, $21,197. I sat back, stared at the spreadsheet. $21,000 over 18 months. That averaged to $1,177 per month. More than my rent. More than I spent on groceries, gas, and utilities combined. Every month, while I was budgeting down to the penny, they were spending over $1,000 of my credit. But it was the pattern that broke me. I created a second tab in the spreadsheet, Timeline of Exclusions. Every time they'd left me out of something, I matched it to the credit card charges. Thanksgiving, 14 months ago. Mom had texted, "Keeping it small this year. Just us and Emma. You understand." I'd spent Thanksgiving alone in my apartment, eating microwaved turkey and watching Netflix. 3 days before that text, Chase Visa charge, $890 to Giovanni's Catering. The small Thanksgiving had been catered for 12 people, according to Emma's Instagram photos. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone but me. They'd excluded me and used my credit to pay for the meal I wasn't invited to. Christmas, 13 months ago. "We're not doing big gifts this year, Jordan. Money's tight." I'd sent them each $50 gift cards I'd saved up from library shifts. They'd sent me a $15 scarf from Target. 2 weeks before Christmas, Macy's charge, $450 for bedding. Emma's gift, according to her Facebook post. Mom and Dad got us the most amazing sheets for the new place. Easter, 10 months ago. "Can't make the drive to see you this year, honey." Gas is so expensive. Week before Easter, Capital One charge. $230 at a restaurant 40 minutes from my campus. They'd been close enough to visit but chose not to. My birthday, 8 months ago. Mom sent a text. Happy birthday, honey. Sorry, we can't celebrate with you. Love you. Emma's birthday. 7 months ago. Weekend trip to Chicago. Fancy dinner. Shopping. Total estimated cost. $1,200. My graduation was the culmination. Not the exception. It had been building for 18 months. Every time they'd claimed to be broke, they were spending my money. Every time they'd excluded me, they were using my credit to fund the events I wasn't invited to. Every time they'd chosen Emma, they'd literally made me pay for it. I added a third tab. Supporting evidence. Screenshots of text messages where they'd claimed poverty. Screenshots of Emma's social media posts showing what they'd actually been spending on. Screenshots of the credit reports showing the fraudulent accounts. I downloaded bank statements showing my own financial struggles during the same period. Paychecks from the library. $760 every 2 weeks. Rent. $850 month. Groceries. $120 month. Gas. $90 month. The math showed how little I'd had while they stole thousands. I found the email from the auto loan company denying my refinance application. Reason: credit score below minimum threshold. My credit score had been 580. It should have been over 700. They'd destroyed my credit while I was trying to use it to improve my life. I found the graduation program. My name listed with the other presidential scholars. The empty seats in the family section visible in my phone photos. I had evidence of everything. On the third day of my self-imposed isolation, Marcus came over with Thai food and coffee. "You look like hell," he said, setting the food on my coffee table. "Thanks. Have you eaten anything today?" I gestured vaguely at a granola bar wrapper. "That doesn't count." He unpacked the containers. Pad Thai, spring rolls, mango sticky rice. "Eat, then show me what you've been working on." I ate. Barely tasted it, but Marcus watched until I'd finished half the container. "Okay, show me." I turned my laptop around. Showed him the spreadsheet. He scrolled in silence. His expression shifted from neutral to shocked to angry. 3 tabs, hundreds of rows, $21,000. Jesus, Jordan. Yeah. This is beyond theft. This is systematic. Calculated. I know. He kept scrolling. They used your credit to exclude you from events? That's sociopathic. They're not sociopaths. They're just... Jordan. He looked up. This isn't normal family dysfunction. This is abuse. Financial abuse. Emotional abuse. You know that, right? I didn't answer. You filed the police report? Yeah. Case number 2. 1,025 to 8,000. 841. Detective Morrison. Good. What's next? I don't know. Wait for the investigation, I guess. Capital One said it takes 60 to 90 days to resolve. Marcus shook his head. That's not enough. You need a lawyer. For what? Civil suit. Your parents stole from you. The criminal case is for the state. It's about prosecuting the crime. But you need to recover damages, emotional distress, lost opportunities. The cost of rebuilding your credit. That's a civil matter. I can't afford a lawyer. Consultation's usually free. And if the case is strong, which this is, some lawyers work on contingency. They take a percentage of the settlement. You don't pay unless you win. I hadn't thought about that. About suing them beyond the criminal case. I don't know if I can do that. Jordan, they stole $21,000 from you. They're not going to just pay it back out of the goodness of their hearts. You need legal leverage. He was right. I knew he was right. But the thought of sitting across from a lawyer, explaining how my parents had spent 18 months destroying me financially while I worked myself to exhaustion, it felt like ripping open a wound I'd been trying to keep stitched. Let me think about it. Don't think too long. There are statutes of limitations on this stuff. Marcus stayed for another hour. Made sure I ate the rest of the food. Made me promise I'd leave the apartment tomorrow, even if just for a walk. After he left, I sat with my spreadsheet. 3 tabs, hundreds of rows, proof of betrayal, documented in dollars and dates. I'd spent 4 years trying to earn my parents' pride. They'd spent 18 months earning a criminal investigation. The math was finally clear. And I was done being the variable that didn't matter. Marcus made me leave the apartment on day 4. "You've been holed up for 96 hours, he said, standing in my doorway with coffee and determination. "You're going outside. Even if I have to drag you. I'm fine inside. You're spiraling. There's a difference." He handed me the coffee. "Get dressed. We're going to the park." I didn't want to go to the park. Didn't want to sit in sunlight and pretend everything was normal. Didn't want to risk running into anyone who might ask how graduation went, how my parents were, whether I was excited about my future. But Marcus had that look. The one that meant he wasn't leaving until I complied. I got dressed. The park was 15 minutes from my apartment. Small, mostly empty on weekday mornings. We sat at a picnic table under an oak tree, coffee between us, spring air smelling like cut grass and possibility. It felt wrong. The world shouldn't be this pretty when everything was falling apart. "Talk to me," Marcus said. "About what?" "About what you're thinking. You've been alone with that spreadsheet for 3 days. That's not healthy." I picked at the coffee cup lid. "I'm thinking about how stupid I was." "You're not stupid." I worked 25 hours a week for 4 years, lived on ramen, denied myself everything. And the whole time, they were spending $21,000 of my money. Your credit, not your money. You didn't know about it. I should have known. Should have checked my credit report sooner. Should have noticed. "Jordan." His voice was firm. "Stop. You were in college, working yourself to death, trusting that your parents weren't committing federal crimes. That's not stupidity. That's being a normal person." I wanted to believe him. Wanted to accept that I wasn't at fault for not anticipating my mother would steal my identity. But the shame was still there. Heavy. Persistent. "They gave Emma a $28,000 car," I said quietly. "And they gave me $10. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, "Can I tell you something?" "Sure. I've known you for 3 years. We met in that statistics class sophomore year, you remember?" I nodded. He'd sat next to me on the first day. We'd bonded over our mutual hatred of probability distributions. "You've always talked about your family like they were distant, busy. They're stressed. Money's tight. They don't understand college pressure. I always thought it was normal family stuff. Disconnect, you know? Where are you going with this?" "I watched you work yourself to exhaustion for 4 years. Watched you skip meals, skip sleep, skip every fun thing college had to offer because you were trying to prove something. And I never understood what you were trying to prove. But now I do." I looked at him. "You were trying to prove you were worth loving." The words hit like a punch. Accurate. Brutal. "And the fucked up thing," Marcus continued, "is that they made you think you had to prove it. Made you think love was conditional. Made you think if you just achieved enough, worked hard enough, succeeded visibly enough, they'd finally see you." My throat was tight. "Maybe if I had—" "No, stop. There's no maybe if. You graduated summa cum laude, presidential scholar, job offer at 22 making more than most people twice your age. You did everything right. And they still chose Emma. Still stole from you. Still priced your worth at $10. I stared at my coffee, didn't trust myself to speak. "This isn't about you not being enough, Jordan. It's about them being broken. And you can't fix broken people by breaking yourself." We sat in silence for a while, watching joggers loop the path, watching a mom push a stroller, watching normal people living normal lives where their parents didn't commit identity theft. Finally, I said, "I don't know what to do now." "What do you mean?" I filed the police report, froze the accounts. But then what? Wait for them to get arrested? Sit back and watch my family explode? Your family's already exploded. You just documented the blast radius. But if I push this, if I actually let the DA prosecute, Mom could go to prison. She committed a felony. Multiple felonies, actually. She's still my mom. Marcus turned to face me directly. Jordan, answer honestly. If a stranger had done this to you, stolen your identity, racked up $21,000 in debt, destroyed your credit, would you hesitate to prosecute? That's different. How? Because family is supposed to. Supposed to what? Not steal from you? Exactly. And she did it anyway. Being your mother doesn't give her immunity from consequences. I knew he was right. Logically, I knew. But the emotional part, the part that still remembered being 10 years old, sitting at that wobbly kitchen table, hearing my parents promise they'd be there when I succeeded, that part was screaming. I feel like I'm destroying them, I admitted. They destroyed themselves. You're just refusing to go down with the ship. Emma's going to hate me. Emma benefited from stolen money. If she hates you for exposing that, that's on her. Dad might lose his job if this goes public. He watched your mom commit fraud for 18 months and said nothing. That's conspiracy. Every argument I made, Marcus countered. Not cruelly, not dismissively, just factually. Like he was holding up a mirror and forcing me to see reality without the distortion of guilt. I called a lawyer, he said after a moment. I looked up. What? While you were in your apartment for 3 days, I called around. Found someone who specializes in family fraud cases. Her name's Patricia Davis. She does free consultations. I made you an appointment for Monday. Marcus, you need legal advice, Jordan. Criminal case is one thing, but you need to protect yourself civilly, too. Davis can help. I can't afford. She works on contingency for cases like this. You don't pay unless you win. And with your documentation? He gestured toward my apartment, where my laptop held that damning spreadsheet. You're going to win. I didn't know what to say. Marcus had spent his own time, his own effort, finding me help. While I'd been spiraling alone, he'd been building me a safety net. Why are you doing this? I asked quietly. Doing what? Helping me. You don't owe me anything. He gave me a look. You're my best friend. You've been there for me through breakups, failed exams, family drama. You think I'm not going to show up when your parents commit federal crimes? Most people would tell me to handle it privately, keep it in the family. Most people enable abuse by calling it privacy. He finished his coffee. You're not handling this alone, Jordan. I'm here, and we're going to make sure you come out of this okay. We stayed at the park for another hour. Marcus made me eat the bagel he'd brought. Made me laugh, actually laugh with a story about his roommate's disastrous Tinder date. Made me feel, for the first time in 4 days, like maybe I wasn't drowning. When we walked back to my car, he said, Monday, 10 a.m., Patricia Davis's office. I'm driving you. You don't have to. I'm driving you. You're going to be a mess. No offense. None taken. And Jordan? What you're doing standing up for yourself, refusing to be a doormat that's not destroying your family, that's saving yourself. Don't forget that. I nodded. Didn't fully believe it yet, but I wanted to. That night, I turned my phone back on. 42 missed calls, 27 texts, 3 voicemails. I didn't read or listen to any of them. Just scrolled through the notification list, watching the desperation escalate. Mom, we need to talk about this reasonably. Mom, you're tearing this family apart. Mom, how could you do this to us? Dad, your mother is distraught. Fix this. Emma, Jay, please call me. I don't understand what's happening. Emma, Mom won't stop crying. What did you do? Emma, is this about the car? I didn't know you'd be upset. The entitlement was staggering. They'd stolen from me, and somehow I was the villain for reporting it. I blocked all 3 numbers. Then I opened my email. Composed a new message. To Detective Morrison. Subject: Case hash 2025 to 8841. Additional evidence. Detective Morrison, I've compiled a detailed spreadsheet of all fraudulent charges across 3 credit cards. Total debt, $21,197. I've also documented a pattern of financial and emotional manipulation spanning 18 months. Please let me know if you need anything else for the investigation. Jordan Blake. I attached the spreadsheet, hit send, and then I went to bed, knowing that on Monday, I'd be sitting across from a lawyer, officially turning this from a family disaster into a legal case. No going back after that. But maybe going back was never the answer anyway. Patricia Davis's office was in a professional building downtown. Glass doors, marble floors, the kind of place that screamed, successful attorney. I felt underdressed in jeans and a sweater, carrying a folder of printed documents like a kid with a school project. Marcus squeezed my shoulder. You've got this. The receptionist led us to a conference room. Modern furniture, big windows overlooking the city, abstract art on the walls. I sat in a leather chair that probably cost more than my monthly rent and tried not to feel completely out of my depth. Patricia Davis entered 5 minutes later. She was maybe 50, sharp gray suit, confident stride. The kind of woman who looked like she won arguments for a living. She shook my hand, firm grip, and sat across from me. Jordan Blake. Marcus told me a bit about your situation. Identity theft by a family member? My mother. 3 credit cards. $21,000. She pulled out a legal pad. Walk me through it. Start from the beginning. I told her everything. The graduation I'd worked 4 years for, the empty chairs, the $10 Starbucks card, and the $28,000 car, the credit report discovery, the 3 fraudulent accounts, the police report. She took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she leaned back. This is textbook identity theft, aggravated by the family relationship and the amount involved. Have you frozen the accounts? Yes. Capital One, Macy's, and Chase all opened fraud investigations. Good. And you filed a police report? Case number 2025 to 8841. Detective Morrison is handling it. Morrison's solid. He'll build a strong criminal case. She flipped a page. But you need to understand the criminal case is the state prosecuting your mother for the crime. That's about justice, punishment, deterrence. It doesn't directly compensate you. What do you mean? Even if she's convicted, you're still responsible for rebuilding your credit, dealing with the emotional fallout, recovering from lost opportunities. That's where civil litigation comes in. A lawsuit. Yes, you'd sue your parents for damages. Fraudulent debt, emotional distress, lost financial opportunities, legal fees. We can also seek punitive damages given the egregious nature of the conduct. My stomach churned. How much are we talking? Conservatively? 50,000. Could be higher depending on how we argue emotional distress and future impact. $50,000 from my parents. And if I win? When you win, she corrected. The court enters a judgment. Your parents are legally obligated to pay. If they don't, we can garnish wages, place liens on property, seize assets. The judgment also protects you from future claims they can't come back later saying you owe them for raising you or some other nonsense. I hadn't even thought about that possibility. But of course they'd try. What's the timeline? Civil cases move faster than criminal. We file the complaint. They respond usually with denials and excuses. Discovery phase where we exchange evidence. Settlement negotiations. If they don't settle, we go to trial. Start to finish, 4 to 6 months. And the cost? I work on contingency for cases like this. I take 33% of the settlement or judgment. You don't pay unless we win. Filing fees and court costs come out of the settlement too. So I'd get 2/3 of whatever we won, better than paying out of pocket, better than carrying $21,000 in fraudulent debt. There's something else, Davis said. Your father. Did he know about the fraud? I think so. He mentioned the loan approval the day before graduation, and he was there when they gave Emma the car. He had to have known where the money came from. If he knew and participated or even just knew and stayed silent, that's conspiracy. We can name him as a co-defendant. Both parents. In a lawsuit. That I filed. How do you feel about that? Davis asked, reading my hesitation. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wants them to face consequences. Part of me feels like I'm destroying them. Jordan, they destroyed your credit, your trust, and your financial stability. You're not destroying them. You're holding them accountable. There's a difference. Same thing Marcus had said. Same thing Detective Morrison had implied. Everyone kept telling me this wasn't my fault. I wished I could believe them. Can I think about it? Of course. But don't think too long. Statute of limitations on fraud in this state is 3 years from discovery. You just found out, so you have time. But the sooner we file, the stronger the case. She handed me a business card. Patricia Davis, attorney at law, family fraud and financial abuse specialist. When you're ready, call me. I'll draw up the complaint. In the meantime, keep documenting everything. Texts, calls, any contact they make. If they threaten you, admit to anything, or try to coerce you into dropping the case, I need to know. Okay. One more thing. Her expression softened slightly. I've handled dozens of these cases. Family fraud, parental theft, sibling favoritism turned financial abuse. It's always messy. It always hurts. But every single client I've represented has told me the same thing afterward. What's that? That suing was the moment they finally took their power back. Marcus and I sat in his car afterward, not moving. So? He asked. She thinks I have a strong case. 50,000 in damages. Maybe more. That's good, right? Yeah. It's just real now. Criminal charges and a lawsuit. My parents are going to hate me. Your parents committed felonies. Their feelings aren't your responsibility. I knew he was right. I did. But the guilt was still there, clawing at my chest. She said I should document everything, any contact they make. Have they tried to contact you since you blocked them? I don't know. I blocked their numbers. Marcus pulled out his phone. Give me their emails. I'll set up a filter to forward everything they send to a separate folder. That way, you're not reading them in real time, but you have the documentation if you need it. Always thinking ahead, always protecting me. We spent 20 minutes setting up the email filter. Marcus created a folder called Legal Evidence Do Not Delete. Everything from my parents would go there automatically. Done, he said. You don't have to look at it unless Davis asks for it. Thank you. Stop thanking me. This is what friends do. Friends. I'd spent 4 years so focused on achieving, on proving my worth to my parents, that I'd almost missed the people who'd been there all along. Marcus, my classmates, the professors who'd written recommendation letters, the library supervisor who'd let me take extra shifts when I needed them. I'd been looking for validation in the wrong place. That afternoon, I called Patricia Davis back. Jordan. That was fast. You've decided? Yes, file the lawsuit. Against both of them. I want to do this. Good. I'll draft the complaint this week. You'll need to review it before we file. Expect a call by Friday. Okay. And Jordan? You're doing the right thing. Everyone kept saying that. Maybe eventually I'd believe it. The next 2 weeks blurred together. Detective Morrison called 3 days after my meeting with Davis. I've subpoenaed the credit card records from all 3 companies. They're cooperating fully. Capital One already sent over 18 months of statements with your mother's signature on the applications. Her actual signature? Yep, and your social security number. It's fraud, plain and simple. I'm submitting the case to the DA this week. Expect them to file charges within 30 days. 30 days. 1 month until my mother would be formally charged with a crime. What happens after they file charges? She'll be arraigned. That's where she appears before a judge, hears the charges, enters a plea. If she pleads not guilty, we go to trial. If she pleads guilty, we move to sentencing. And if she pleads guilty? First offense, probably probation. Community service. Restitution she'll have to pay you back. And the felony conviction stays on her record. Felony conviction. My mother. The woman who'd taught me to tie my shoes and read chapter books and believe in myself. The woman who'd stolen $21,000 from me and missed my graduation to buy my sister a car. Thank you, detective. You're welcome. And Jordan? Your documentation helped. That spreadsheet made this case airtight. Most victims don't have that level of evidence. Because most victims didn't spend 4 years learning to be meticulous, detail-oriented, achievement-focused. I'd weaponized my own perfectionism against my mother. The irony wasn't lost on me. Patricia Davis called that Friday. Complaint's ready. I'm emailing it now. Read through it carefully, make sure everything's accurate. If it looks good, we file Monday. The email arrived 10 minutes later. PDF attachment, 32 pages. Blake, V. Blake. Civil complaint for fraud, identity theft, and emotional distress. I opened it. Plaintiff Jordan Elizabeth Blake brings this action against defendants Susan Marie Blake and Richard Thomas Blake for damages arising from systematic identity theft, fraud, and emotional abuse spanning 18 months. It was all there. Every charge, every exclusion, every text message where they'd claimed poverty while spending my credit, the graduation day betrayal, the $10 gift card versus the $28,000 car. All of it documented in legal language, cold and clinical. Plaintiff suffered severe emotional distress, including anxiety, depression, and loss of trust in familial relationships. Plaintiff's credit score decreased from 720 to 580, resulting in denied loan applications and limited financial opportunities. Defendants' conduct was willful, malicious, and designed to benefit their preferred child at plaintiff's expense. Preferred child. That was Emma, reduced to a legal term. The golden child, the favored one, now immortalized in a court document as evidence of my parents' systematic betrayal. I read the entire complaint twice, every word accurate, every claim supported by evidence. At the end, plaintiff seeks damages in the amount of $50,000 for fraudulent debt, emotional distress, credit repair costs, and punitive damages. $50,000. I called Davis. It's accurate. File it. You're sure? I thought about the empty chairs at graduation, the $10 card with my name spelled wrong, the $21,000 they'd stolen while I ate ramen. I'm sure. Okay. I'll file Monday morning. They'll be served within 48 hours. After that, it's public record. Anyone can access it. Public record. The whole world could see what my parents had done. Good. Let them. Marcus threw me a fuck your parents party that weekend. Just the two of us, Chinese takeout, and a bottle of cheap wine in my half-packed apartment. We toasted to freedom, boundaries, and not setting ourselves on fire to keep others warm. To Jordan, Marcus said, raising his glass. Who's finally done being the family scapegoat? To Marcus, I countered. Who's a better family than my actual family? We drank, ate lo mein straight from the containers, watched bad reality TV, and didn't talk about lawsuits or credit reports or parents who stole. For 3 hours, I felt almost normal. Monday morning, Patricia Davis filed the complaint. Monday afternoon, she called. It's done. Process server will deliver it to your parents' house tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. They'd open the door expecting a package or a delivery. Instead, they'd get a legal summons. How do you think they'll react? I asked. Denial, probably. Anger. They'll call you. I blocked their numbers. Good. They'll try through other people. Emma, relatives, family friends, prepare for flying monkeys. Flying monkeys? People who do the abuser's bidding. Guilt trips, emotional manipulation. How could you do this to your mother speeches? Ignore all of it. Document it if they threaten or harass you, but don't engage. Okay. And Jordan? This is going to get ugly before it gets better. Your parents will fight back. They'll try to make you the villain. But you have the truth on your side. Don't forget that. Wednesday morning, Emma called. I'd forgotten to block her number. Saw her name on my screen and almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Hello? Jordan, what the fuck? Her voice was high, panicked. Mom and Dad got served with a lawsuit. From you. $50,000? Yes. Are you insane? They're our parents. They're identity thieves. That's not they were going to pay you back. When, Emma? Before or after they gave you a $28,000 car with my stolen credit? Silence. Then, I didn't know about the credit cards. But you knew they were broke. You knew they couldn't afford to help me with textbooks or car repairs. You knew, and you accepted the car anyway. That's not fair. I didn't ask them to. You didn't have to ask. You've never had to ask. Everything's always been given to you, while I worked myself to death for scraps. I can't believe you're doing this. Mom's been crying for 2 weeks. Dad might lose his job if this goes public. They should have thought about that before they committed fraud. You're destroying this family. The same accusation, over and over, like I was the problem, like I'd created this mess. No, Emma, they destroyed it. I'm just refusing to clean up after them anymore. You're selfish. I hung up. Blocked her number. Sat in my apartment, hands shaking, heart racing. But underneath the anxiety was something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. I'd said it. I'd stood up for myself. I'd refused to accept blame for their actions. And the world hadn't ended. Over the next week, the flying monkeys came. Aunt Sarah called. Your mother is devastated. She made a mistake, but family forgives. Uncle Tom texted. This lawsuit is embarrassing the whole family. Drop it. My grandmother, Mom's mother, left a voicemail. Jordan, sweetheart, I know you're hurt, but your mother loves you. Please reconsider. I documented everything, forwarded it all to Patricia Davis. She replied, Perfect. This shows consciousness of guilt. They know what they did was wrong. They just don't want consequences. Keep it up. The only person who sided with me was Aunt Rachel, Dad's younger sister. She called one afternoon, voice careful. Jordan, I heard about the lawsuit. Here we go. Another guilt trip. And I want you to know I'm proud of you. I stopped breathing. I've watched your parents favor Emma for years, watched them dismiss your achievements and celebrate hers. I've wanted to say something, but family dynamics are complicated. But this took courage. And you're right to do it. Tears burned my eyes. Thank you. If you need anything, a place to stay, someone to talk to, a character witness, I'm here. I might take you up on that. Please do. And Jordan, for what it's worth, I'll be sitting in the front row at your next big moment, cheering louder than anyone. The promise my parents had made when I was 10. Broken repeatedly. Now offered by someone who actually meant it. 30 days after Detective Morrison submitted the case, the DA filed criminal charges. Felony identity theft, aggravated fraud, 3 counts. My mother was arrested on a Tuesday morning. Posted bail the same day. Court date set for 6 weeks out. Detective Morrison called to update me. She pleaded not guilty, but her lawyer's already talking plea deal. Nobody wants this going to trial. What kind of plea deal? Probably guilty plea to reduced charges, probation, restitution, community service, no jail time for first offense. But the conviction sticks. No jail time. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was angry she'd stolen $21,000 and wouldn't spend a single day in prison. But the conviction would follow her forever. Background checks, job applications, loan applications. Every time she tried to present herself as a respectable person, that felony would be there. She'd created her own prison. By the end of the month, I'd rebuilt my case into something unbreakable. 3 credit card fraud investigations all confirming my claims. Police report with case number. Criminal charges filed. Civil lawsuit in progress. Email documentation of family harassment. Aunt Rachel's offer to testify. And my spreadsheet. The comprehensive, meticulous, damning spreadsheet showing 18 months of theft, exclusion, and favoritism. Patricia Davis called it the most organized evidence package she'd seen in 15 years of practice. Marcus called it your superpower turned against the people who tried to destroy you. I called it survival. I'd spent 4 years working for my parents' approval. Now I was spending 4 months dismantling the lie that I'd ever needed it. The math finally added up. And I was just getting started. Emma's wedding was 6 weeks away. I'd known the date for months, circled on calendars, mentioned in group texts, posted all over Emma's social media. August 12th. The day my sister would marry Travis, at Lakeview Estate, wearing a dress bought with my stolen credit, celebrating with food paid for by fraud. I wasn't invited anymore. Mom had uninvited me 3 days after being served with the lawsuit. Left a voicemail I didn't answer, but I saved the recording for evidence. Jordan, given the current situation, we think it's best if you don't attend Emma's wedding. You've made your feelings about this family very clear. We don't want any drama on Emma's special day. Drama. That's what they called consequences. Patricia Davis had laughed when I played her the voicemail. They're terrified you'll show up. Good. Let them be scared. But I hadn't planned to go. Hadn't wanted to sit through a ceremony funded by my stolen credit, watching Emma promise forever while I carried the debt of her happiness. And then Marcus had an idea. We were in my apartment, mostly packed now, moving to Atlanta in 2 weeks. He was helping me label boxes when he stopped mid-tape and looked at me. What if you did go? To the wedding? I'm uninvited. So, it's a public venue. Outdoor ceremony. 200 guests. Security won't know you're not supposed to be there. Marcus, hear me out. Your parents humiliated you at your graduation. They stole from you for 18 months to fund this wedding. Emma got everything while you got $10. Don't you want them to know you're not broken? I don't need to prove anything to them. It's not about proving anything. It's about taking back the narrative. They've been telling everyone, you're the problem, the bitter daughter who sued her loving parents. Show up looking successful, happy, unbothered. Let them see you're thriving. I thought about it. The appeal was there, walking into that wedding with my head high, showing them I'd survived their worst. But there was something darker pulling at me too. What if I did more than just show up? Marcus raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? What if I told people, the guests, about the fraud, about what they did? Like a speech? Not a speech, just the truth, publicly. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, that would destroy them. They destroyed me first. I know, but this is Jordan, this is nuclear. You'd be blowing up Emma's wedding. She'll never forgive you. She already won't forgive me. I'm the villain in her story no matter what I do. At least this way. I'm the villain who told the truth. He studied my face. Whatever he saw there made him nod slowly. Okay, if you're serious about this, we need a plan. You can't just show up and wing it. We spent the next 2 hours strategizing. Step 1. Arrive early. Blend in with guests. Outdoor venue. Casual mingling before ceremony. No one would notice one extra person. Step 2. Position myself near the front. Not in the family section, that would be too obvious, but close enough to be seen and heard. Step 3. Wait for the right moment. Not during vows, that was too cruel even for me, but maybe during the reception toasts, when people were already standing, already paying attention. Step 4. Speak. Calmly, clearly, factually. No yelling, no emotion. Just the truth with evidence. What evidence? Marcus asked. I pulled up my phone. The spreadsheet I'd built over the last month. Every fraudulent charge documented. Screenshots of credit reports. Photos of the $10 Starbucks card next to the $28,000 car. I could project it. Venues have screens for slideshows. I could. Whoa, you want to do a presentation? At her wedding? Why not? They presented me with a $10 gift card at my graduation. Turnabout's fair play. Marcus laughed. Shocked, slightly horrified laughter. You're actually serious. They've spent months telling everyone I'm unreasonable, that I'm tearing the family apart over nothing. Let everyone see the receipts, let them decide who's unreasonable. Jordan, if you do this, there's no coming back. Your family will never speak to you again. They're barely speaking to me now. Emma will hate you forever. She already does. Your parents will. Will what? Steal from me? Already did. Humiliate me? Already did. Uninvite me from family events? Already did. I met his eyes. What else can they take from me that they haven't already taken? He didn't have an answer. We refined the plan over the next week. I'd wear something simple but professional. Not white, I wasn't trying to upstage Emma. Just something that said, I'm doing fine without you. Marcus would come with me. Backup, moral support, witness. We'd arrive separately so it didn't look coordinated. I'd bring my laptop. If I could access the venue's AV system, and outdoor weddings usually had screens for photo slideshows, I'd project my evidence. If not, I'd speak without it. The words were damning enough. Patricia Davis approved the plan, with one caveat. Don't threaten them. Don't make demands. Just state facts. Anything else could be construed as harassment or blackmail. Just facts, I agreed. And Jordan, record it. Audio, video, whatever you can. If they react violently or threaten you, that's evidence for both cases. I hadn't thought about them getting violent, but Dad had a temper when pushed. Mom had a gift for manipulative tears. Together, they could be formidable. I wasn't scared, though. I'd faced worse than their anger. I'd faced their indifference. Aunt Rachel called 2 weeks before the wedding. Jordan, I heard through the family grapevine that you might be planning something. My stomach dropped. How did... Your grandmother mentioned you've been asking about the venue. And Emma's paranoid. You'll show up and ruin everything. Are you? I hesitated. Aunt Rachel had been supportive, but this was different. This was active sabotage. Yes, I admitted. I'm going to tell the truth. Publicly. About what they did. Silence. Then. What? I said good. Your parents have been playing victim for 6 weeks. Poor Susan, betrayed by her ungrateful daughter. Poor Richard, humiliated by a lawsuit. Meanwhile, everyone's forgotten that they stole from you. They need to be reminded. You're not going to try to stop me. Stop you? Jordan, I'll help you. I'll be there. Front row. And if you need someone to back up your story, I'll do it. I've watched them mistreat you for years. Someone needs to say it out loud. My throat was tight. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just promise you'll stand your ground when they try to gaslight you, because they will try. I promise. And Jordan? I'm proud of you. Not everyone has the guts to stand up to their abusers. Especially when the abusers are family. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling, running through tomorrow's plan over and over. What I'd say. How I'd say it. What they'd do. Part of me was terrified. Part of me was exhilarated. All of me was done being silent. At 2 a.m., I got up and opened my laptop. Reviewed the evidence one last time. The spreadsheet. The photos. The timeline of exclusions matched to fraudulent charges. $21,000, 18 months, 3 credit cards, all documented. Undeniable. I thought about the 10-year-old version of me sitting at that wobbly kitchen table, listening to my parents promise they'd be there when I succeeded. Tomorrow, I'd show them exactly what their broken promises had cost. I woke up at 6 a.m. on Emma's wedding day. Didn't need an alarm. Adrenaline did the job. Showered, made coffee, stood in front of my closet trying to decide what you wear to blow up your sister's wedding. I chose a navy dress. Simple, Professional, forgettable. The goal wasn't to be noticed before I wanted to be noticed. Paired it with low heels, comfortable enough to run if things went sideways. Marcus texted at 7:15. You ready for this? Me. No. Doing it anyway. Marcus, that's my girl. I'll meet you there at 3. Ceremony's at 4, right? Me. Right. Outdoor venue. Cocktail hour at 5. Reception at 6. Marcus. Plan is still toasts? Me. Yes. After dinner, before dancing. When everyone's seated and paying attention. Marcus. Savage. I love it. I didn't feel savage. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump with no idea if there was water below or rocks. But I was jumping anyway. I spent the morning packing the last of my apartment. Boxes labeled, furniture sold, keys ready to return to the landlord Monday morning. My entire college life reduced to 23 boxes and 2 suitcases. Fresh start in Atlanta. New job, new city, new life. Away from parents who stole from me and a sister who benefited from fraud. I should have felt excited about the move. Instead, I felt hollow. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I'd imagined graduating with my family cheering, moving to Atlanta with their blessing, starting my career with their pride fueling me. Instead, I was leaving town with a police case, a lawsuit, and a plan to publicly expose them at my sister's wedding. Not exactly a hallmark moment. At noon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Jordan? It's Emma. I froze. She'd called from someone else's phone. Probably guessed I'd blocked her. Emma, please don't hang up. I need to know. Are you going to show up today? Are you going to ruin my wedding? Ruin. Interesting word choice. Define ruin. Jordan, please, this is my wedding day. Whatever issues you have with mom and dad, can you just, not? For one day? Whatever issues I have? Emma, they stole $21,000 from me. I know, and I'm sorry, but are you sorry? What? Are you actually sorry? Or are you sorry that I found out? Silence, long enough that I had my answer. Emma, your wedding was funded with my stolen credit. Your dress, your venue, your catering, all of it, paid for with fraud. And you want me to stay quiet so you can enjoy your special day? I didn't know. You knew they were broke. You knew they couldn't help me with textbooks or car repairs. You knew, and you took the money anyway. That's not fair. No. What's not fair is you getting a $28,000 car while I got $10. What's not fair is them missing my graduation for your dress fitting. What's not fair is me working myself to death while they spent my credit on you. Her voice cracked. So you are going to ruin it. You're going to show up and make a scene and destroy the happiest day of my life. I'm going to tell the truth. If that ruins your day, maybe you should be mad at the people who created the situation. Jordan, please. I hung up, blocked the number she'd called from, and felt absolutely nothing. At 2 p.m., I loaded my car. Laptop, folder of printed evidence, phone fully charged. Marcus had texted coordinates for where to park side street near the venue, close enough to walk but far enough to avoid being trapped. I drove there in silence. No music, no podcasts. Just the sound of my own breathing and the hum of my car engine. Lakeview Estate appeared at 2:47. Beautiful venue, sprawling lawn leading down to a lake, white chairs set up in rows, floral arch at the front, string lights hung between trees. Elegant. Expensive. Stolen. I parked 3 blocks away, sat in my car for 15 minutes watching guests arrive. Relatives I recognized, friends of Emma's I'd never met, Travis's family. Everyone dressed in summer wedding attire, smiling, excited. No one knew what this day had cost, what it was still costing. At 3:30, I got out of my car. Marcus texted, I'm here, near the back. See you soon. Me. See you on the other side. I walked toward the venue, laptop bag over my shoulder. Evidence folder tucked inside. Phone recording in my pocket. A staff member greeted me at the entrance. Name? I'd prepared for this. Rachel Blake. I'm with the bride's family. She checked her list, found Aunt Rachel's name, didn't ask for ID. You're at table 7. Ceremony starts in 20 minutes. Enjoy. I smiled. Thanked her. Walked onto the lawn. 200 guests mingled around cocktail tables. I recognized maybe 40 of them. Extended family, friends, people who'd known me growing up. People who'd watched my parents favor Emma for years and said nothing. I grabbed a glass of water from the bar. Stood near the back. Watched. Mom and Dad were near the front, greeting guests. Mom wore a lavender dress, hair professionally done. Dad wore a gray suit. They looked happy, proud, like loving parents celebrating their daughter's wedding. No one looking at them would guess they'd been charged with felony fraud. Emma appeared at 3:50, radiant in her white dress. The $2,100 dress I'd paid for without knowing. She looked beautiful, happy, everything a bride should be. And I felt nothing. Not jealousy, not anger, not even sadness. Just cold, clear resolve. At 4, the music started. Guests took their seats. I sat in the back row, laptop bag at my feet. Marcus was 4 rows ahead. He glanced back once. I nodded. The ceremony began. Emma and Travis say their vows. I don't listen. I'm running through my plan. Timing, words, backup options if the AV system doesn't work. My laptop is at my feet. Evidence folder in my bag. Phone recording in my pocket. Around me, guests cry happy tears. Someone's aunt dabs her eyes with a tissue. A little flower girl sits in her mother's lap. Bored. Normal wedding things. I'm about to make this wedding very not normal. The ceremony ends at 4:37. Guests applaud. Emma and Travis kiss. Everyone stands, moves toward cocktail hour. I hang back, wait until most people clear out. Then I approach the AV tech. He's a kid, maybe 19, wearing all black and fiddling with a laptop near the DJ booth. The reception area has a large screen set up for photo slideshows. Perfect. Hey, I say, friendly. I'm Jordan, bride's sister. Emma asked me to add some photos to the slideshow. Can I load them real quick? He doesn't question it. Sure. You got a USB? I can just connect my laptop. 2 minutes. He shrugs. Go ahead. I connect my laptop to his system, pull up my presentation file. It's already loaded, already formatted. Title slide reads, The Cost of Emma's Wedding, a breakdown. I don't show him, just save it to his desktop, labeled Emma Slideshow 2. All set. Thanks. No problem. He goes back to his phone. I walk away. Heart hammering. Phase 1 complete. Cocktail hour is endless. Guests drink, mingle, take photos. I stand near the edge, sipping water, watching. Mom and Dad work the crowd like politicians, hugging, laughing, thanking people for coming. Emma glows, poses for photos. Every picture will show a perfect wedding. No one will know what's coming. Marcus finds me at 5:30. You okay? Define okay. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. I'll be right there. Front table. If anything goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. I'm just telling the truth. He squeezes my shoulder. You're the bravest person I know. I don't feel brave. I feel like a grenade with the pin pulled, waiting to explode. Dinner is served at 6:15. I'm seated at table 7 with distant cousins who don't know me well enough to ask questions. They make small talk. I nod, smile, push food around my plate. I can't eat. My stomach is twisted too tight. At 7, the toasts begin. Best man goes first. Funny stories about Travis, jokes about marriage, glass raised. Everyone laughs, applauds. Maid of honor next. Emotional story about growing up with Emma, how she's always been the golden child. Ironic. Everyone cries. Then the DJ announces, "If anyone else would like to say a few words, now's the time." This is it. I stand, walk toward the microphone. Conversations stop. Heads turn. I see Mom's face drain of color. Dad half stands from his seat. Emma's eyes go wide. I reach the microphone. Take it from the DJ's hand. He looks confused but steps back. 200 guests stare at me. I look at my parents. And I begin. "Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Jordan, Emma's older sister." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Emma is frozen. Travis looks confused. "I wasn't invited to this wedding. In fact, I was explicitly uninvited 6 weeks ago. But I'm here anyway, because there's something you all need to know." Mom stands. "Jordan, don't." I ignore her. "This wedding cost approximately $47,000. Beautiful venue, amazing food, open bar, very generous. Especially considering my parents told me for 4 years that they couldn't afford to help me with textbooks." More murmurs. Guests glancing at each other. But here's the thing. They didn't actually pay for this wedding. I did. I pull out my phone. Tap the screen. My presentation appears on the large screen behind me. The cost of Emma's wedding. A breakdown. Gasps throughout the crowd. 18 months ago, my mother opened a credit card in my name, without my knowledge, without my permission. She used my social security number, my identity, and my credit to fund Emma's wedding. Slide 2. Screenshot of the Capital One application. My name, Mom's signature, clear as day. Over 18 months, she charged $12,847 to this card. Venue deposit, catering, wedding dress, all in my name, all without telling me. Slide 3. Itemized list of charges. Dates, amounts, vendors. Emma is crying. "Jordan, stop." But that wasn't enough. She also opened a Macy's card in my name. $3,247. And a Chase Visa. $5,103. Total fraudulent debt. $21,197. Slide 4. Credit report showing all 3 accounts. The crowd is silent. Shocked. Some are recording on phones. Dad starts walking toward me. "This is not appropriate." "Sit down, Richard." Aunt Rachel stands from her table, voice firm. "Let her speak." He stops, looks around, realizes people are watching him. Sits. I continue. "While I worked 25 hours a week and ate ramen to afford college, my parents spent $21,000 of my credit on Emma's wedding. They destroyed my credit score. I was denied an apartment because of them, denied a car loan, all while they told me they were proud of how independent I was." Slide 5. Screenshot of Mom's text. "We're so proud of how independent you are, really making it on your own." Dated 3 months after she opened the first fraudulent account. "At my college graduation 2 months ago, I received a presidential scholarship. Full ride. Summa cum laude. Top 1% of my class." Slide 6. Photo of me in cap and gown. 3 empty chairs visible in the front row. My parents missed my graduation. They chose Emma's dress fitting instead. And when they finally showed up afterward, they gave me this. Slide 7. Photo of the $10 Starbucks card. My name spelled Jordan. $10. That was my graduation gift. The same day, they gave Emma a $28,000 car. Slide 8. Side-by-side photos. The Starbucks card next to Emma's white Honda. Emma is sobbing. Travis has his arm around her, looking shell-shocked. Mom is screaming, "This is a lie! She's making this up!" Am I? I pull out a folder. I have police reports. Case number 2025 to 8,841. Detective Morrison filed charges. The district attorney prosecuted. Mom, you pleaded guilty 2 weeks ago. Did you forget? The crowd erupts, people talking over each other. Mom's face is red, furious. And the civil lawsuit, Blake v. Blake, filed 6 weeks ago, $50,000 in damages for fraud, identity theft, and emotional distress. It's public record. Anyone can look it up. Aunt Rachel stands again. It's true, all of it. I've seen the documentation. Grandmother Mom's mother stands too. Susan, how could you? Mom is crying now. Ugly, desperate tears. Jordan, please, you're ruining. I'm ruining what? Your reputation? You ruined that when you committed fraud. Emma's wedding? She ruined it when she accepted gifts bought with stolen money. Emma screams. I didn't know. You knew they were broke. You knew they couldn't help me. You just didn't care where the money came from. As long as you got your fairy tale. Travis stands. Emma, is this true? Your parents stole from your sister? Emma can't answer. Just sobs. I turn back to the crowd. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for truth. My parents spent months telling everyone I'm the villain, that I'm tearing the family apart, that I'm ungrateful and cruel. Slide 9. Screenshots of texts from relatives. You're embarrassing the family. Drop the lawsuit. Forgive your mother. But here's what no one talks about. The 18 months of fraud. The empty chairs at my graduation. The $10 gift card. The systematic favoritism. The financial abuse. Slide 10. Timeline showing every exclusion matched to fraudulent charges. Thanksgiving dinner I wasn't invited to. $890 catering charge. Christmas I was told money was tight. $450 in gifts for Emma. Easter visit they couldn't afford. $230 restaurant charge the same weekend. The murmurs are louder now. People looking at Mom and Dad with disgust. I filed a police report because identity theft is a crime. I filed a lawsuit because I deserve compensation for what they stole. And I'm here today because I'm done letting them control the narrative. Final slide. Photo of me from graduation day. Cap, gown, Presidential Scholar Medal, standing alone. I graduated with honors. I earned a full scholarship. I got a job in my field. I did everything I was supposed to do. And my reward was fraud, betrayal, and a $10 gift card with my name spelled wrong. I looked directly at my parents. You told me when I was 10 that when I succeeded, you'd be there. You lied. You weren't there. You were too busy stealing from me to celebrate with me. Mom is shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're not sorry. You're embarrassed. There's a difference. I turn off the presentation. Hand the microphone back to the DJ. He takes it silently. The crowd is chaos. People arguing, crying, recording. Emma has collapsed into Travis. He looks furious, confused. Mom is being comforted by relatives who look uncomfortable doing it. Dad stands alone, face blank. Aunt Rachel crosses the room, hugs me. You did it! Yeah, I did. Marcus appears. We should go. Now. Before this gets worse. He's right. People are starting to crowd around. Questions being shouted. I see Uncle Tom pushing through the crowd, face red with anger. We leave. Walk quickly through the chaos. Out of the reception area. Behind us, Emma's wedding dissolves into catastrophe. I sit in my car, hands shaking, adrenaline crashing. Marcus sits in the passenger seat. Holy shit. Yeah, that was... Jordan, you just nuked your entire family. I know. How do you feel? I think about it. Really think. Empty. Relieved. Terrified. Free. Lighter, I finally say. My phone buzzes. Text from Aunt Rachel. Half the guests are leaving. Emma's locked in the bathroom. Your mother's having a breakdown. I've never been prouder of you. Another text. Unknown number. This is Detective Morrison. Someone sent me video of your speech. Excellent presentation of evidence. Call me Monday. Another. Patricia Davis. I'm watching the video now. Your parents' lawyer is going to hate this. Well done. The video. Someone posted it, probably multiple someones. I pull up Facebook. Search Emma's name. There it is. Already viral. 47,000 views. Comments pouring in. Holy shit, her parents are criminals. That poor girl. Can you imagine? Emma should be ashamed. This is the most savage wedding speech I've ever seen. The truth is out. Not just to the 200 guests. To everyone. Marcus reads over my shoulder. You're going viral! Apparently. Your parents are going to come after you for this. Let them try. Everything I said was documented, provable. They can't sue me for telling the truth. He laughs, incredulous, slightly hysterical. You really did it. You took back your power. I did. For the first time in my life, I said exactly what I needed to say. No apologizing. No softening. No protecting people who'd never protected me. Just truth. Cold, documented, undeniable truth. And it felt like flying. We drive back to my apartment, order pizza, watch the video spread across social media. By midnight, it has 890,000 views. The same number of people who witnessed my graduation humiliation have now witnessed my parents' public exposure. Poetic justice. Marcus falls asleep on my couch around 1 a.m. I stay awake, watching the comments roll in. Reading strangers validate what I'd always known. My parents were wrong. I wasn't the problem. At 3 a.m., my blocked numbers folder pings. 27 new messages. I don't read them. Don't need to. The war is over. And I won. The video hit 1 million views by sunrise. I woke up on my couch at 7 a.m., phone buzzing nonstop, notifications flooding in faster than I could read them. Friend requests, comments, messages from strangers telling me I was brave, strong, inspiring. Messages from other strangers calling me cruel, vindictive, a family destroyer. I turned off my phone. Marcus was still asleep in the guest room. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic. Normal sounds, like the world hadn't just watched me detonate my family on social media. I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, stared at nothing. What had I done? Not regret, I didn't regret it, but the magnitude was sinking in. 200 wedding guests, 1 million video views, my parents' reputations destroyed, Emma's wedding ruined, our family fractured beyond repair. I'd wanted truth. I'd wanted justice. I'd wanted them to face consequences. I'd gotten all three, and it felt exactly as hollow and satisfying as I'd expected. By 10 a.m., the calls started. Blocked numbers, so they went straight to voicemail. I listened to them later, saved them for legal evidence, like Patricia Davis had instructed. Mom, sobbing, how could you do this? On your sister's wedding day? You've destroyed everything. Our reputation, our family. Emma's marriage might not even survive this. Dad, cold and furious. You will regret this, Jordan. Mark my words. You've made an enemy of your own family. Emma, broken. I hope you're happy. Travis's parents want him to annul the marriage. They think we're criminals. You got what you wanted. You destroyed me. Uncle Tom. You're a disgrace. Your parents made one mistake and you've turned it into a public execution. I hope you can live with yourself. And then Aunt Rachel, steady and proud. Jordan, it's Rachel. I know you're probably drowning in messages right now. I just want you to know what you did took courage most people don't have. Half the family is furious, but the other half is finally seeing the truth. I'm proud of you. Call me when you're ready. Half and half. The family had split exactly as I'd expected. Those who'd always excused my parents' behavior sided with them. Those who'd quietly noticed the favoritism sided with me. There was no middle ground. Not anymore. Detective Morrison called at 2 p.m. I answered. Miss Blake, I watched the video. I know, half the world has. Your evidence presentation was comprehensive. Your mother's lawyer is going to have a very difficult time now. Public confession on video, witnessed by hundreds. Is that good for the case? It's excellent for the case. The DA is reviewing the footage. This strengthens everything. Shows consciousness of guilt, public acknowledgement. Your mother's plea deal just got a lot less favorable. What does that mean? Probably more restitution, longer probation, maybe actual jail time, though that's still unlikely for a first offense. But the court won't go easy after this. Good. I wanted consequences to be real, not symbolic. And the civil case? I asked. That video is a gift to your attorney. I'd expect your parents to settle quickly now. They won't want this going to trial with that footage available. Settle. Take a deal. Pay me to make it go away. Thank you, detective. You're welcome. And Jordan, for what it's worth, I've worked fraud cases for 15 years. What your parents did was calculated and cruel. You had every right to expose them. Patricia Davis called at 4 p.m. Have you seen your phone? I turned it off. Smart. Turn it back on. Check your email. Your parents' attorney sent a settlement offer. My heart jumped. Already? They want this over before it gets worse. Open the email, read it, then call me back. I opened my laptop. Found the email. Settlement offer. Blake v. Blake. Defendants Richard and Susan Blake offer the following settlement terms. 1. Payment of $35,000 to plaintiff Jordan Blake. Fraudulent debt, plus damages. 2. Public apology to be published on defendant's social media accounts. 3. No contact agreement for minimum 3 years. 4. Admission of wrongdoing in written statement. 5. All terms confidential. Not to be disclosed publicly. $35,000. Public apology. No contact. Admission of guilt. Everything I'd wanted. Except the confidentiality clause, I said when I called Davis back. They want me to stay quiet. Standard in settlements. They'll pay, but only if you stop talking about it. What if I don't want to be quiet? Then we go to trial. Could take 8 months. You might win more. Might win less. But the video's already public. They can't take that back. The truth is out there. I thought about it. The video had done its job. The truth was exposed. Fighting for the right to keep talking seemed pointless when I'd already said everything that mattered. Counter offer, I said. $40,000. They can keep their apology. I don't want their fake words, but I want the admission of wrongdoing on record, not confidential. And the no contact is permanent, not 3 years. I'll send it. By midnight, I'd turned my phone back on. 317 notifications. I ignored all of them, except one. Emma had texted from yet another unknown number. I'm filing for divorce. Travis can't handle the scandal. His family thinks we're criminals. I hope you're happy. You didn't just ruin my wedding. You ruined my life. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me felt guilty. Emma's marriage imploding wasn't what I'd wanted. I'd wanted truth, consequences for my parents, recognition of what they'd done. But Emma had chosen to build her life on stolen foundations. Travis leaving her wasn't my fault, it was the natural consequence of discovering those foundations were fraud. I didn't respond, blocked the number, and went to bed knowing that the fallout was only beginning. The settlement came through 5 days after the wedding speech. Patricia Davis called with the news. They accepted your counter. $40,000, admission of wrongdoing on public record, permanent no contact order. Wire transfer will hit your account within 48 hours. $40,000, more than the $21,000 they'd stolen. Compensation for damages, emotional distress, legal fees, and the years it would take to rebuild my credit. What about the criminal case? I asked. Separate process. Your mother's plea deal fell apart after the video went viral. The DA won't accept anything less than felony conviction now, full restitution and probation with jail time suspended. She'll take it. Going to trial would be worse. When sentencing. 3 weeks. You can attend if you want. Victim impact statement, if you'd like to give one. Stand in a courtroom and tell a judge how my mother's theft had affected me. Part of me wanted that closure. Part of me was exhausted. I'll think about it. Take your time. And Jordan, you won. Fully, completely. Criminal conviction, civil judgment, public exposure. Most people don't get this level of justice against family abusers. Justice. That's what this was, right? Not revenge. I wanted to believe there was a difference. The money hit my account 2 days later. $40,000. I stared at the number on my banking app for 10 minutes. More money than I'd ever had at once. More than a year's salary at my library job. Enough to pay off my student loans completely and still have savings left over. I paid off the student loans first. All $31,000. Clicked Confirm Payment and watched my debt balance drop to zero. 23 years old, college graduate, debt-free. It should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt sad. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. I was supposed to pay off loans gradually, with salary from my new job, proud of my financial responsibility. Instead, I'd paid them off with settlement money from suing my parents for fraud. But debt-free was debt-free. I'd take the win, even if it tasted bitter. The remaining $9,000 went into savings. Emergency fund. The thing I'd never been able to build while working through college. Now I had it. Security. Options. Freedom. Stolen money. Transformed into independence. The irony wasn't lost on me. The family split happened fast and brutal. Aunt Rachel called a week after the settlement to give me the breakdown. Your Uncle Tom and his family won't speak to you. They think you're vindictive and cruel. Your Aunt Sarah agrees she's firmly on your parents' side. That's not surprising. But your grandmother called your mother last week, told her she was ashamed, said what she did was unforgivable, and she needed to take accountability. Grandma said that? She did. Your mom tried to play victim. Jordan destroyed us. We were going to pay her back, and your grandmother shut it down. Said stealing is stealing, family or not. That made my throat tight. Grandma was 82, old school, deeply Catholic. For her to side with me over her own daughter meant something. What about Emma? Rachel sighed. Emma's a mess. Travis did file for divorce. His parents threatened to cut him off financially if he stayed married to a family of criminals. He chose his trust fund over Emma. I felt a twist of sympathy. Emma had been complicit, yes. But she'd also been the golden child her entire life. She'd never learned to question where the money came from. Is she talking to Mom and Dad? Barely. She blames them for ruining her marriage. Blames you for exposing them. Mostly she's just broken. Do you think she'll ever understand? Honestly, probably not. Emma's spent her whole life being the favorite. She can't process that favoritism came at your expense. It's easier for her to blame you than to face her complicity. That was probably true, and I'd accepted it. Emma and I would never have a relationship. We'd be strangers who shared DNA and a traumatic childhood, hers full of gifts, mine full of theft. What about holidays? I asked. How's that going to work? There's going to be 2 Thanksgivings, 2 Christmases. The Support Susan faction will celebrate with your parents. The Support Jordan faction will celebrate separately. You're invited to ours, obviously. 2 families, mine and theirs, divided permanently. I think I'll start my own traditions, I said. In Atlanta. With people who didn't steal from me. Rachel laughed. Sad but understanding. That's probably healthiest. Susan Blake was sentenced 4 weeks after the wedding speech. I didn't attend. Couldn't bring myself to sit in that courtroom and watch my mother stand before a judge. Patricia Davis went on my behalf, sent me updates via text. Judge accepted the plea. Felony identity theft. Guilty. Sentencing. 12 months probation. 200 hours community service. $15,000 restitution, on top of your civil settlement. Felony on permanent record. No jail time, but she cried through the whole thing. Your dad looked furious. Judge said betraying your child's trust for financial gain is among the lowest forms of theft. That's on the record. Felony on her permanent record. Every job application, every background check, every attempt to present herself as respectable, that conviction would follow her. She'd stolen my credit. I'd stolen her reputation. Fair trade. The restitution payments started in September. $15,000, broken into monthly installments of $625, automatically withdrawn from my mother's checking account, deposited into mine, court-ordered, non-negotiable. Every month, I'd see that $625 appear in my account. Every month, I'd be reminded that my mother was paying for what she'd done. Literally. It felt like justice. It also felt exhausting. I didn't want to be connected to her like this monthly payments, permanent reminders. I wanted to move on, build my new life, forget they existed. But the law required restitution, so every month, I'd get that money, and every month, I'd transfer it straight to my savings account, building a future they'd tried to steal. The family consequences rippled outward for months. Dad took early retirement from his insurance job. His coworkers had seen the video. The whispers, the judgment, the loss of respect, he couldn't handle it. Mom lost her part-time receptionist job when her boss discovered the felony conviction. Their social circle evaporated. Church friends stopped calling. Book club quietly removed Mom from the group chat. Neighbors avoided eye contact. They'd built their reputation on being respectable, successful parents with 2 accomplished daughters. The video had revealed the truth. They were thieves who'd favored one daughter and robbed the other. Reputation destroyed. Social death. Exactly what they'd feared. I should have felt vindicated. Mostly I felt tired. Emma's divorce finalized in November. She moved back in with our parents, the same house I'd left at 18 and never returned to. 3 people living together in mutual resentment, blaming each other for the consequences of their own choices. Emma posted on Facebook once, "Sometimes the people you trust most betray you in ways you never see coming." She meant me. The irony was stunning. I didn't comment, didn't engage, just watched from a distance as the family I'd been born into collapsed under the weight of its own dysfunction. And I built a new family. Marcus, Aunt Rachel, my grandmother, my coworkers in Atlanta, friends I'd meet in my new city, people who valued honesty, boundaries, mutual respect, chosen family. The kind that didn't steal from you and call it love. By the end of the year, the legal cases were closed. Criminal case, resolved, conviction finalized, restitution ongoing. Civil case, settled, payment received, no contact order permanent. Police report, filed, closed, available as public record. Everything documented, everything official. I was 23 years old with a clean slate, no debt, savings in the bank, and a family that existed only on paper. Most people would call that tragic. I called it freedom. Atlanta in January is cold but beautiful. I'm sitting in my apartment, 1 bedroom, 7th floor, view of the city skyline. I moved here 6 months ago with 23 boxes and no family support. Built my life from scratch. New job, new friends, new routines that don't include people who steal from me. It's quiet here. Peaceful. The kind of peace that comes from cutting out the noise. Financially, I'm thriving. The $40,000 settlement paid off my student loans and built my emergency fund. My salary from the tech firm, $78,000 as a senior analyst after a promotion in November, covers rent, groceries, and the occasional luxury I'd never allowed myself before. Real coffee, not instant. A gym membership. A couch that didn't come from Craigslist. My credit score rebuilt slowly but surely. Started at 580, climbed to 650 by September, hit 712 last month. Excellent range. The fraudulent accounts were removed from my report. The damage my mother caused is nearly erased. Nearly. Some scars don't show up on credit reports. I check my bank account sometimes, just to see the number. $14,000 in savings now. Every month, that $625 restitution payment arrives. Every month, I add it to the fund labeled Future Jordan Deserves. In 2 years, when the restitution is paid in full, I'll have $29,000 saved. Enough for a down payment on a house, if I want. Enough to start a business. Enough to travel. Enough for anything except what I'd originally wanted. a family that loved me. But money can't buy that. I've learned that the hard way. Career-wise, I'm everything I worked for. The presidential scholarship wasn't wasted. I use my degree every day: data analysis, problem solving, strategic thinking. My boss calls me the most detail-oriented person on the team. My coworkers invite me to happy hours, ask about my weekend, treat me like I matter. In November, I won the company's Rising Star Award at our annual conference, stood on stage in front of 300 people, received a plaque and a $2,000 bonus, heard my achievements listed aloud. No one in my family was there. No one texted congratulations. No one knew it happened. And it still felt like victory, because I'd done it for me, not for their approval. I mentor 2 interns now, both young women, both working their way through college, both struggling to balance school and work. I teach them budget spreadsheets, time management, how to advocate for themselves. I tell them they're capable, valuable, deserving. The things my parents never told me. Maybe that's my purpose. Not to get the validation I deserved from them, but to give it to others who need it. Pay it forward. Break the cycle. Be the adult I'd needed when I was 22 and eating ramen. Emotionally, I'm healing. Therapy helped. I started in September. Once-a-week sessions with Dr. Chen, a woman in her 50s who specializes in family trauma. We talk about betrayal, boundaries, the difference between forgiveness and acceptance. You don't have to forgive them, she told me in our 3rd session. Forgiveness is optional. Healing is about moving forward without them, not making peace with them. That shifted something in me. I'd been carrying guilt for exposing them, guilt for ruining Emma's wedding, guilt for not being the bigger person. Dr. Chen helped me see that guilt was misplaced. I wasn't responsible for their choices. I was only responsible for mine. And my choice was to protect myself, to demand accountability, to refuse to be silent about abuse just because it came from family. That's not cruelty, that's survival. I still think about them sometimes. Not often, but sometimes I'll see a father-daughter moment in a movie, or a mother helping her adult child move, or siblings laughing together, and I'll feel it. The loss, the grief for what I never had. I don't miss my parents. I miss the parents I'd wanted them to be, the ones who'd promised to celebrate my success, the ones who'd actually shown up. Those parents never existed. I was chasing ghosts. I don't chase anymore. I haven't spoken to my parents in 8 months. The no-contact order makes it illegal for them to contact me directly. They tried once. Mom sent a letter to my old apartment address, forwarded to me in Atlanta. I didn't open it. Sent it to Patricia Davis, who confirmed it violated the order. 1 warning issued. They haven't tried again. Emma hasn't contacted me either. Last I heard from Aunt Rachel, she's working retail and living at home. The divorce wrecked her financially. She's resentful, bitter, blaming everyone except herself. I feel bad for her. I do. She was raised to believe she was entitled to everything, never taught to question where it came from. Now she's learning the hard way that stolen foundations crumble. But I can't fix her, can't teach her accountability, can't make her understand. Some people never do. My relationship status is complicated. I'm dating someone, Alex. We met at work, started as friends, evolved slowly. They know my story, I told them on our 3rd date. Prepared for them to run. They didn't run. They listened, asked good questions, didn't try to fix me or convince me to reconcile with my family. You survived something most people can't even imagine, Alex said, and you came out stronger. That's not damage, that's resilience. We've been together 6 months. It's healthy, stable, honest, the kind of relationship I'd never seen modeled growing up. We split bills, communicate clearly, respect boundaries. It's boring in the best way. No drama, no theft, no wondering if I'm valued. Just partnership, the way it should be. Holidays are different now. Thanksgiving was at Aunt Rachel's house. Her family, my grandmother, Marcus, who'd flown in from law school, and me. We cooked together, told stories, laughed until we cried. No one mentioned my parents. No one asked if I'd reconciled. No one pressured me to be the bigger person. Just love. Unconditional, uncomplicated love. Christmas was at my apartment. Small celebration, just me and Alex. We cooked dinner, exchanged modest gifts, watched movies. Peaceful, simple. I didn't miss the chaos of family drama, didn't miss the tension of wondering if this would be the year my parents actually showed up for me. I'd created my own traditions, with people who chose to be there. That's family, not DNA. Choice. The viral video still circulates sometimes. I'll get tagged in it occasionally, someone sharing it with commentary about family boundaries or narcissistic parents. It has 3.2 million views now. Comments still coming in. Most are supportive. This woman is my hero. I wish I had her courage. Family doesn't mean you have to accept abuse. Some are critical. She ruined her sister's wedding over money. This is cruel. Family should forgive. I don't read the comments anymore. Don't engage. The video did its job, exposed the truth, held my parents accountable, validated my experience. What strangers think about it doesn't matter. I know what happened. I know what I survived. I know I made the right choice. That's enough. People ask sometimes if I regret it. The lawsuit, the speech, the public exposure. I don't. Could I have handled it privately? Maybe. Could I have quietly sued them without the wedding speech? Sure. But private handling protects abusers. Quiet lawsuits let them control the narrative. I'd spent 22 years being quiet, being understanding, being the accommodating daughter who didn't make waves. Quiet got me $21,000 in stolen credit and empty chairs at graduation. Loud got me justice. So, no. I don't regret it. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my parents chose theft over honesty. I regret that Emma chose to benefit from fraud rather than question it. But I don't regret standing up for myself. Even when it was messy. Even when it hurt. Even when it cost me the family I'd wanted. Because the family I'd wanted was a fantasy. The family I'd had was toxic. And I chose myself over toxicity. That's not something to regret. That's something to celebrate. 3 years have passed since graduation. I'm 25 now. Living in a city I love, doing work that challenges me, surrounded by people who genuinely care. I have savings, stability, a credit score I rebuilt myself. I have boundaries that I enforce without guilt. I have self-respect that no one can steal. I have a future that isn't defined by my past. My parents are strangers to me now. We share a last name and nothing else. They're living with the consequences of their choices. I'm living with mine. The difference is, I can sleep at night. Last week, my grandmother sent me a letter. She's 85 now, health declining. The letter was handwritten, shaky script on lined paper. Dear Jordan, I'm proud of you. I know I didn't say it enough when you were growing up. I saw the favoritism, the way your mother treated Emma differently, and I should have spoken up. I didn't. I'm sorry for that. But I'm saying it now. You were right. What your parents did was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved everything you achieved, and more. You're the strongest person in this family. Don't ever forget that. Love always. Grandma. I cried reading it. Not sad tears. Relief tears. Someone saw me. Someone acknowledged it. Someone validated what I'd known all along. I wasn't the problem. I framed the letter. It hangs in my bedroom next to my college diploma and the photo from graduation, me in cap and gown, standing alone, smiling despite the empty chairs. Reminders that I survived, that I succeeded, that I did it without them. Looking forward, I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll buy that house in a few years. Maybe I'll get married, build my own family, do it better than my parents did. Maybe I'll stay single, focus on my career, travel the world. I don't know. And that's okay. Because for the first time in my life, My future isn't defined by trying to earn someone's love. It's defined by what I want, what I choose, what makes me happy. I'm not trying to prove I'm worth a damn. I know I'm worth a damn. My parents priced me at $10. I priced myself at a future they can't touch. That's the math that matters. The $10 Starbucks card is still on my wall. Framed next to the court judgment, the graduation photo, Grandma's letter, a reminder of where I started and how far I've come. Sometimes people visit and ask about it. Why would you keep that? Because it's proof. Proof that I was undervalued, dismissed, priced at nothing, and proof that I didn't accept their valuation. I took that $10 card and turned it into a lawsuit, a criminal conviction, public exposure, and freedom. I transformed their insult into my independence. That card represents the worst thing they did to me. But it also represents the moment I decided I was done accepting less than I deserved. So it stays on my wall, not as a wound, but as a trophy. The trophy of a war I won against people who should have loved me. If you're reading this and you're in a similar situation, family stealing from you, favoritism destroying you, abuse disguised as love, here's what I want you to know. You don't owe loyalty to people who harm you. Family isn't an excuse for theft, manipulation, or betrayal. You're allowed to protect yourself, even if it means cutting off the people who raised you. Legal action isn't vindictive, it's accountability. Prosecution isn't cruel, it's justice. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. And you don't need their approval to be valuable. You don't need their love to be worthy. You don't need their presence to be whole. You are enough, exactly as you are, even if they never see it, especially if they never see it. 3 years ago, my parents gave my sister a $28,000 car and gave me a $10 Starbucks card. Today, I'm debt-free, financially stable, and building a life they have no part in. Today, they're paying court-ordered restitution, living with felony convictions, and watching their family legacy crumble. The math finally makes sense. And I'm finally free. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Family betrayal, financial abuse, and favoritism are more common than people talk about. If you're living through something similar, know this. You have options. You have rights. You have the power to protect yourself. Document everything. Set boundaries. Seek legal help if needed. And remember, choosing yourself over toxic family isn't selfish. It's survival. This is Achiever Betrayed, where we tell the stories of people who succeeded despite the ones who should have supported them. People who chose justice over silence. People who rebuilt their lives after family tore them down. If you have a story like Jordan's, you're not alone, and you're not wrong for fighting back. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, and remember, your worth isn't determined by the people who failed to value you. This is Achiever Betrayed. Until next time.